Chapter 1575. Old Friends Meet True Dragon Realm. Splash, splash, splash. Blood boiled and roared like a raging ocean. The flame of life, which was more than 100 feet tall, burned fiercely. After half a year of recovery, Su Fong had not only recovered all the life force he had lost, but his cultivation had also quickly stabilized at the peak of the 9 paths of the sane immortal realm. The yang energy in his yang meridian had also gradually reached its peak, and he was trying to break through the 46th yang meridian. Such astonishing recovery speed was not only because of the Yellow Spring's Blood Sea's devouring ability, the Dragon's subduing true body, and the Black Lotus true body's recovery ability, but also because of the cleansing of the divine power. His perfected body had once again transformed to a brand new height. The 9 yang, 9 transformations had entered the 5th transformation. All kinds of true body abilities that were built on the foundation of yang energy, and the perfected body had also transformed. Su Fong's benefits were not limited to that. After being baptized by the divine power, the range of his divine aperture ocean had been further expanded, and his magic power had become extremely profound. His magic power contained divinity, and his ability to communicate with heaven and earth had increased by more than 10 times. More importantly, the 45th Yang Meridian had been born, and the 9 suns, 9 transformations had reached the 5th transformation. The biggest change was the World Tree, which had grown to 3 feet tall. With the World Tree's transformation, Su Fong's cultivation of the World Tao had taken another big step forward. However, even with so many benefits, Su Fong was still unable to cheer up. In the divine ability world, he had almost been suppressed by the will projection of the Seal Heaven Divine Paths powerhouse. If it weren't for the sudden change in heaven and earth that broke many of the shackles and seals in the Blood Jade, Su Fong wouldn't have been able to escape this time. Law had paid a heavy price for this, and had fallen into a deep slumber. No one knew when he would wake up. With the destruction of the divine ability world, the Heavens Mandate Hao Tsang sect had lost its connection with the divine world. For the time being, no one could find any problems. However, as time passed, no one dared to predict whether the Heavens Sealing Divine Path had some kind of forbidden technique to reconnect with the Heavens Mandate Hao Tsang sect. Once the truth was exposed, even if the Jihong Immortal Honorable had a great background, it would be difficult for him to protect Su Fong. We definitely can't stay in the Heavenly Fate Hao Tsang sect any longer. We also have to continue searching for blood jades, so that Luo can wake up as soon as possible. Apart from that, I also have to find Immortal Mistress Frozen Dream, and bring back Xuanxin, as well as the whereabouts of my second primordial spirit. I have to leave the Heavens Mandate Hao Tsang sect as soon as possible. Heaven and earth are changing again. Calamity is sweeping across the world. I wonder how the Square Heaven Great World is like. Thinking of the Square Heaven Great World, where his family and friends were, Su Fong felt nervous again. Fortunately, before they left, Su Fong had made careful arrangements, so there wouldn't be any danger in the short term. Following that, Su Fong thought of the Green Feather Emperor who had gone to the Demon Realm, as well as Fairy Xuanxin and the second primordial spirit whose whereabouts were still unknown. He decided to leave the Heavenly Mandate Hao Tsang sect as soon as possible. Xiao Zun. Z Satin's respectful voice sounded from outside the cave. Su Fong flew out of the True Dragon Realm and asked, "What is it?" "Someone from Hongxing Hall has sent an invitation to Xiao Zun." "This is the invitation." As soon as Z Satin's voice fell, a Xian Guang flew out of the room with a golden invitation wrapped in it. Hongxing Hall. Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed, and his eyes exuded a cold light. Last time, he was ambushed by Ji Xing Immortal Venerable and almost died. Although it was Ji Xing Immortal Venerable's idea and had nothing to do with Hongxing Hall, he was still a member of Hongxing Hall. Naturally, Su Fong didn't have a good impression of Hongxing Hall. He was planning to pay them a visit when he had the time to settle old scores. He didn't expect Hongxing Hall to take the initiative to invite him this time. He didn't know what they were up to. Walking out of the room, Su Fong grabbed the invitation. At this moment, the life-shrinking technique suddenly reacted. There's a primordial spirit's aura on the invitation. Who could it be? Su Fong wasn't surprised. He opened the invitation, and the shadow of a primordial spirit rose from the invitation. It was Dai Yi. "Kid, I'm a guest at Hongxing Hall. Hurry up and come see me." Dai Yi's primordial spirit's shadow spoke in a domineering voice that Su Fong was very familiar with. Then, the Xian Guang flashed, and the primordial spirit's shadow disappeared without a trace. "It's Senior Dai Yao. Why is she in the central immortal domain? And why is she with the people of Hongxing Hall?" Su Fong was surprised and delighted. He had always been grateful to Dai Yi, and he treated her like a senior. Now that he suddenly received news about Dai Yi, Su Fong couldn't sit still. He immediately left solitary Great Star and headed for Hongxing Hall in the celestial land of destiny. Who knew that just as he flew out of the boundary outside solitary Great Star, buzz, 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 the Tao runes of the life shrinking technique flashed in the depths of his divine aperture again and condensed into a very familiar figure. It's Senior. The figure condensed by the Tao runes of destiny was the Green Feather Emperor. Whoosh! Two figures emerged from a void. It was the Green Feather Emperor and the Demon Saint who had transformed into a blue-robed cultivator. "You can actually detect my existence. Su Fong, you are indeed extraordinary." The blue-robed cultivator's eyes flashed with a sharp light as he sized up Su Fong. These two peerless big goblin were hidden in the void with the supreme talent of the demon race. If Su Fong didn't have the life-shrinking technique's ability to sense the aura of destiny, he wouldn't have been able to detect them. "Kid, long time no see. I didn't expect you to grow to such a level and become a peerless genius famous in the great world." The Green Feather Emperor chuckled, his eyes filled with joy and excitement. Su Fong was also using his perfected ability to sense the Green Feather Emperor and the Blue-Robe Cultivator. After advancing to the Demon's sovereign realm, the Green Feather Emperor had gone to the demon world and was nurtured by the demon race. His strength was far from what it used to be. His chi was void, as if he had become one with the void. The divine light in his eyes flickered, giving people the feeling that he could tear the void apart. At this moment, the innate ability of the rock race had been fully activated. Ordinary immortal venerables were no match for him. Moreover, his innate ability was the speed and spatial ability. Even mid-stage immortal venerables couldn't do anything to him. Looking at the blue-robed cultivator again, Su Fong's heart skipped a beat. Under his perfected ability, the place where the demon stood was empty, as if he had never existed. If he didn't see him there, he would have thought that the place was just empty air. This demon is so terrifying. He's even more terrifying than Tao, Sovereign Han, Su, and Tao, Sovereign Divine Cauldron. He's actually a peerless demon, saint comparable to the peak of the advanced Tao realm. Su Fong was shocked. "Originally, I wanted to observe you for a few more days. I didn't expect you to discover me. Let's go. Follow me. I have something to tell you," the blue-robe cultivator said indifferently and vanished into the void. "Lord Demon Saint has something important to discuss with you. Lord Demon Saint is a peak existence in the demon world. Don't offend him later." The Green Feather Emperor warned Su Fong. Then, using his spatial ability, he tore the void apart and brought Su Fong to a valley created by Demon Chi. "Sit." The blue-robed cultivator waved his long sleeve. A stone table and a stone stool appeared on the ground. He sat down on the stone stool and pointed at the opposite side of the stone table. "Lord Demon Saint, what can I do for you?" Su Fong asked politely after sitting down. "My name is Xianyu. You can call me Xianyu Demon Saint. This time, I came to the Tianming Haotsong sect with the intention of contacting the Tianming Haotsong sect to discuss an alliance against the demon race and the resurrected powerhouses. Who knew that the Tianming Haotsong sect would compromise with the demon race and the resurrected powerhouses? They're not fit to lead the immortal Tao. This has greatly disappointed me. The Tianming Haotsong sect." Su Fong was speechless at the actions of the Tianming Haotsong sect. "I didn't expect that I would be able to witness the peerless demeanor of the number one genius of the great world. This trip was not in vain. This time, I called you here to invite you to join the demon world." Invite me, an immortal Tao cultivator, to join the demon world? Su Fong was shocked. The immortal Tao and the demon world have always been incompatible. Cultivators hunt the big goblin, and the big goblin devours cultivators. This is the law of nature. However, there are exceptions to everything. In the demon world, there are also human cultivators like you. There are even countries established by cultivators. Although your talent is extraordinary, you show off your abilities and come from a lowly background. The Tianming Haotsong sect and the immortal Tao will definitely not tolerate you. At this time, the world is undergoing another great change. The calamity of destruction will sweep across the great world. The immortal Tao and the demon world will not be able to escape this calamity. With your own strength, you will definitely not be able to grow. Therefore, this saint invites you to the demon realm. You can bring your family and friends with you. This saint can guarantee that the demon realm will grant you supreme status and status. You will enjoy the same resources as a Taoist disciple of the heavenly mandate bright firmament sect. Furthermore, this saint can guarantee that as long as the demon realm remains, you and your family and friends will be safe and sound. Xianyu demon saint's conditions were very tempting. Su Fong was also tempted. In the face of the calamity, what was more important than safety? After a long time, Su Fong looked up at Xianyu demon saint and said, Lord demon saint, I'm very sorry. I can only decline your good intentions. Xianyu demon saint said in surprise, You don't agree? Could it be that my conditions are not good enough to move you? The green feather demon emperor also hurriedly said, Su Fong, for yourself, your family, and friends, please think about it carefully. Su Fong shook his head and said, It's not that Lord Demon Saint's conditions are not good enough, but that I don't want to leave the immortal Tao. Why? Could it be that you covet the position of Taoist of the Tianming Haotsong sect? I, Su Fong, don't care about the position of Taoist of the Tianming Haotsong sect. I will leave the Tianming Haotsong sect soon. The reason why I don't agree is that I am an immortal Tao cultivator. No matter how the immortal Tao world treats me, it can't change this fact. Now that the immortal Tao world is facing a calamity, what I need to do is to step forward bravely and not retreat. Xianyu demon saint sneered disdainfully, stupid beyond compare. You overestimate yourself. In Lord Demon Saint's eyes, my decision is very stupid and overestimating myself. However, do you think I can escape the calamity if I drag out an ignoble existence in the demon realm? Rather than that, I might as well fight with the demon race, fight with the resurrected experts, and fight with the heavens. Who knows, I might be able to kill my way out. Su Fong made a clanging sound, and then cupped his fists to bid farewell. Wait, Xianyu Demon Saint's deep eyes flashed, and suddenly stopped him. =_ download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1576. A high-level inquiry whoosh. Demon Saint Xian Yu shot out a beam of demonic light, which was caught by Su Fong. When he unfolded it, he saw that it was a crescent moon-shaped, white, jade token the size of half a palm. This is my Holy Moon Demon Deterrence token. If you encounter any life-threatening danger in the future, you can activate this token to break through the shackles of a peak Tao realm expert and the shackles of nature. You could travel through the void thousands of miles away and save your life. However, you can only activate it 3 times at most. After 3 times, this Holy Moon Demon Deterrence token will be useless. This token also has another function. It can release the Supreme Demon Saint Divine Aura that can deter Big Goblin. If you encounter a powerful Big Goblin in the future, you can use this token to suppress it. Su Fong was surprised. What do you mean, Lord Demon Saint? I can't bear for a peerless genius like you to fall in a catastrophe, so I'm providing you with some help. Of course, I'm not helping you for free. If you have the chance to become a peak expert in the great world in the future, please help the demon realm when it's in trouble. Demon Emperor Green Feather hurriedly winked at Su Fong. Kid, hurry up and accept Lord Demon Saint's kindness. Then he secretly transmitted his essence spirit. Lord Demon Saint Xian use Holy Moon Demon Deterrence token, is also an extremely precious item in the demon realm. With this Holy Moon Demon Deterrence token, not only can you directly suppress a powerful big goblin, as long as it's not a very powerful demon saint, but you can also get 3 chances to escape and save your life equals N_1. If the demon realm needs my help in the future, I won't refuse. Su Fong put away the Holy Moon Demon Deterrence token and said solemnly. Su Fong didn't feel grateful. In his opinion, this was a deal with the demon realm. Although he was still very weak, he was confident that he would stand at the peak of the great world one day. Thus, Demon Saint Xian Yu wouldn't lose out in this deal. After leaving the valley created by Demon Shi, Demon Emperor Green Feather temporarily stayed by Su Fong's side. When Demon Saint Xian Yu left Destiny Haotsong's sect, they would go to the demon realm. Su Fong, Demon Emperor Green Feather, Demon Emperor Green Feather, Demon Emperor Green Feather, Demon Emperor, and other big goblins. The true dragon realm became lively. And Demon Emperor Green Feather. Demon Emperor Green Feather Demon. Of the Demon Emperor Green Feather was valued Demon Saint Xian Yu. Then Su Fong of Great Xing Hall. Star Divinity of God of Heaven, of God of Devil Feather, of Thousand Demon Song. Translation Demon Yu. And of Song Fong, Song Hall Great of Hall Demon. Of Grand Hall, Great Elder, Great Elder, Great Song, Su Fong didn't care about the giants of Great Xing Hall. However, when he saw Dai Yi again, Su Fong's mood became better. His worries about the catastrophe were washed away. Just like before, Dai Yi was still domineering. She didn't change because of Su Fong's strength and identity. Instead, she made Su Fong feel more cordial. Song Shui was lucky enough to meet Su Fong and drink with him at the same table. He only knew how to giggle. He was so excited that he couldn't even speak a complete sentence. With Dai Yi's mediation and Great Star Hall taking out a large amount of resources to compensate Su Fong, Su Fong's resentment toward Great Star Hall disappeared. Su Fong asked Elder Gu Xing to call Madame Fonghua. This enchanting woman was subdued by Su Fong when he was in Emperor Ning's mansion. She lurked in Great Star Hall and played a big role. In front of the giants of Great Star Hall, Su Fong treated Madame Fonghua as an old friend. Elder Gu Xing didn't dare to treat Madame Fonghua as a concubine. The giants of Great Star Hall also looked at her differently. They entrusted her with a heavy responsibility on the spot and let her be in charge of an important department of the main hall. It could be said that she reached the sky in a single bound. Madame Fonghua was grateful to Su Fong. She secretly transmitted her voice to thank him. Naturally, Su Fong politely refused. After a banquet, Su Fong left Great Star Hall with Dai Yi. Su Fong asked, "Senior, where are you going next?" Dai Yi raised her eyebrows. "What? You don't want to be responsible for me?" Su Fong almost choked. The catastrophe is intensifying. Although the world is big, there is no place for me to stay. After thinking about it, it is safest to stay with you. This time, I will stick to you. You can't drive me away. You are welcome. Boy, I have to warn you in advance. You must not have any ideas about me. Just now, you secretly flirted with the coquettish woman of Great Star Hall. Don't think that I can't see what is going on between you two. Humph, there is no good man. Cough. Su Fong staggered and coughed again and again. Also, you brat, you used to be like a weak chicken in front of me, but now you've climbed on top of my head. Your cultivation base is much higher than mine, which makes me very unhappy equals N_1. In the future, you must constantly provide me with Yangqi and other cultivation resources. This was clearly like inviting a living ancestor. Su Fong's head began to ache faintly. One more thing. Ao Tianchong Hen, that old bastard, you must find a way to help me find him. Humph, when the time comes, Dai Yi will skin him alive. Dai Yi gritted her teeth, causing Su Fong's heart to feel cold. Just like that, Dai Yi moved into the true dragon world. Su Fong specially chose a mountain range suitable for her to cultivate. He built a cultivation cave and provided her with all kinds of cultivation resources. Dai Yi was from the Ling clan from the spirit world. Her cultivation talent was far beyond that of other cultivators. Previously, she was sealed by the constellation of 9 heavens for 100,000 years and was hunted down everywhere. She could not cultivate in peace. Now that she was in the true dragon world, her cultivation speed was naturally astonishing. The green feather demon emperor stayed in the true dragon world for half a month. Then he bid farewell to Su Fong and the other big goblin and left the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsong sect with the Black Moon Demon Sage. About 2 years later, Holy Man Han Su's majestic voice rang out in the cave. Ji Hong, bring Su Fong to the meeting hall. The sect master and the higher-ups of the sect want to inquire about him. Su Fong smiled coldly and walked out of the cave. Ji Hong, immortal lord, also walked out from the depths of the cave. Don't be afraid. With me here, the higher-ups of the sect won't dare to make things difficult for you. Ji Hong, immortal lord, released a divine power to wrap around Su Fong. Then, he passed through the formation and went straight to the depths of the Heaven's Mandate celestial land. At the peak of a mountain that towered into the clouds, the Ji Hong immortal exalt brought Su Fong to the square and entered the grand hall that was filled with a powerful aura. There were only a dozen cultivators in the spacious hall. It seemed empty. However, these cultivators were all grand elders of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsong sect. They were peerless powerhouses whose cultivation had reached the high levels of the Tao realm. Holy Man Han Su and Holy Man Shenlu were among them. In front of so many peerless powerhouses, Su Fong felt like a tiny ant. Su Fong, the sect master, who was sitting high on the main seat, spoke with a voice filled with supreme majesty. An invisible pressure with supreme will of the heavenly way instantly enveloped Su Fong's body. Ji Hong, immortal lord, said coldly, since the sect master has summoned Su Fong to inquire about him, just ask him directly. There's no need to use divine power to scare the younger generation. Ji Hong, immortal lord, had been angry because Su Fong had been treated unfairly by the sect again and again. Now, as soon as he arrived at the hall, the sect master wanted to show Su Fong his power again. Ji Hong, immortal lord, finally could not take it anymore. He waved his sleeve and swept out a divine power of the cycle of 4 seasons. It swept away the pressure that enveloped Su Fong. Ji Hong, you're really arrogant. How dare you be rude to the sect master? Such behavior is disobedience. You should be punished severely. The grand elders in the hall were in an uproar. Then they all reprimanded him. Forget it. The sect master waved his hand, and the shocking pressure shackles disappeared without a trace. Then, a terrifying divine light that seemed to be able to see through everything flashed in the sect master's deep eyes. It landed on Su Fong. Su Fong was instantly touched. He was seen through from the inside out. It was as if everything on his body was seen through without any reservation. Before entering the hall, Su Fong had sealed the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace with a heavenly secret life-taking technique. Some things that he did not dare to expose, including the sky-hiding nether coffin, the origin treasure mirror, and the dragon bird, were all placed in the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace. Otherwise, with the supreme strength of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsong sect's leader, who was at the peak of the Tao realm, he could easily see through Su Fong's background. A hint of surprise flashed in the sect master's deep eyes. This child is indeed extraordinary. There seems to be a layer of ethereal barrier covering his body. Even I can't see through it completely. If it can be used by the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsong sect, there will definitely be another peerless expert in the future. Suddenly, the sect master raised his eyebrows, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. He asked in surprise, Su Fong, since you have entered the Heaven Gate and received the baptism of the Heavenly Tao, you have obviously received the recognition of the Heavenly Tao. Why can't I see the imperial seal of the Heavenly Tao in your divine aperture? The imperial seal of the Heavenly Tao? The so-called imperial seal was clearly a slave seal used by the heaven-sealing divine sect to control the cultivators of the lower realm. Su Fong sneered in his heart, but on the surface, he looked as if he had a lingering fear. He slowly explained what had happened. After entering the Heaven Gate and receiving the baptism of the Heavenly Tao, Su Fong did not hide the scene at all. However, what happened after that was naturally edited. Su Fong explained that at the critical moment of receiving the imperial seal, there was a sudden change in heaven and earth. Not only did it cause the seal to fail, but it also caused him to be seriously injured and almost lose his life. Then, the illusory image formed by the will of the heavenly Tao was shattered by the impact of the change in heaven and earth. The space world that was connected to the baptism of the heavenly Tao was also destroyed, and he used all of his divine abilities to luckily escape the heaven gate and save his life. Su Fong described the scene vividly, causing many of the big shots to be shocked to the core. This explanation could be said to be watertight. Moreover, no one witnessed it at the time, so naturally, no one could find any problems. It was naturally easy to hide these words from other experts, but it was impossible to completely convince the leader of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect, a supreme expert of the outside world. This person's cultivation of the great Tao had reached the peak of the outside world. He could vaguely sense the cause and effect of the matter, and knew the truth of the matter. Whether or not it was as Su Fong said, but he could not find any clues. A big-shot elder said in a cold voice, "The Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect was able to become the #1 force of the immortal Tao precisely because of the support of the forces of the God Realm. Now that we have completely cut off our connection with the God Realm, this is a major matter that concerns the future of the sect. Moreover, the world has changed again, so of course we have to investigate this matter to the end. How can we believe the one-sided words of a junior?" This big shot's face was old, and there was a black spot on his face, giving people a gloomy feeling. This person was none other than Mo Wutian's master. The sect master nodded and said, "That's right, it should be so. It's just that Su Fong was the only one present at the time, so how can we investigate the truth?" The old man with the black spots said gloomily, "It can't be simpler." Looking at Su Fong, the old man with the black spots smiled coldly and said, "Since he was the only one present at the time of the incident, use the soul search on him, and the truth will be revealed. =_ our download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1577. Those who anger the heavenly Tao will be punished by the heavenly Tao soul search? Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed as coldness seeped out of his eyes. Since when did Tianming Hao Tsang sect become like the devil race, treating their disciples so ruthlessly and unscrupulously? Could it be that with his strength, he can destroy the divine ability of a God Realm expert? Whoever dares to treat my disciple like this, don't blame me for being impolite. The Jihong immortal exalted roared angrily as he looked at the old man with dark spots with murderous intent in his eyes. A terrifying aura of time flowed out of his body as if he was going to attack in rage at any moment. A cultivator's soul was the most fragile thing. Even the peak experts of the great world couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't cause harm to a cultivator when they performed a soul search on them. Once a cultivator's soul was injured, they would become an idiot at best or die at worst. Moreover, to the person whose soul was being searched, what kind of humiliation was this? The sect master frowned. Su Fong is the #1 genius of the great world. If something goes wrong when you perform a soul search on him, the consequences will be severe. This is extremely inappropriate. The old man with dark spots smiled darkly and said, "Sect master, you don't have to worry. I cultivate the Dark Night Great Tao and have mastered a supreme divine ability called Great Seer of Dreams. It can make a cultivator fall into a dream and cause the scenes in the depths of their memories to automatically appear in their mind. I only need to read his memories and not forcefully extract them. It definitely won't cause any harm to his soul." The sect master pondered for a moment and nodded. "That's good too. Remember not to hurt Su Fong. I want to see who dares to perform a divine ability on my disciple." The Jihong immortal exalted roared like thunder. Although he didn't know what happened, he knew that Su Fong was definitely hiding something. Once it was discovered, what awaited Su Fong would be annihilation. Moreover, how humiliating was it to have one's memories read? The Jihong immortal exalted would definitely not allow Su Fong to be humiliated like this. The sect master said imposingly, "Jihong, I can guarantee you that Su Fong won't be hurt. What are you worried about? This concerns the rise and fall of Tianming Hao Tsang sect, so there is no room for discussion. If you continue to disobey orders, Su Fong must be hiding something from the sect. This matter is of great importance. Even if you ask the first Supreme Elder, you must get to the bottom of this matter. Because of the changes in heaven and earth, it led to the collapse of the space world that was connected to the upper realm. What does it have to do with Su Fong? At this moment, he actually performed a soul search on Su Fong. He's simply going too far. It's fine if I don't stay in such a sect. Su Fong, let's go. Let's see who dares to touch you in the slightest. The immortal exalted Ji Hong didn't budge an inch, and he immediately released a strand of divine might with the intention of taking Su Fong and leaving the hall. Ji Hong, since you dared to betray the sect and disregard the interests of the sect, then don't blame me for being merciless. The sect master harumphed coldly. After forming a hand seal, a burst of godly might burst out and shrouded the entire hall. Boom! This hall was where the upper echelons of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect discussed important matters. There were countless powerful formations set up here. Now that they were activated by the sect master, even if a peak expert of the great world made a move, it would be difficult for them to break through the shackles of the formation and walk out of the hall in a short period of time. Moreover, there were more than a dozen high-level Tao realm immortal exalted experts in the hall, and the sect master was at the peak of the Tao realm. The immortal exalted Ji Hong's divine ability flashed with decisiveness, and he was about to perform his divine ability to contact his original body in the Ji Hong star. Su Fong suddenly spoke. Master, I have a clear conscience. Let them perform their divine ability and read my memories. The immortal exalted Ji Hong was very surprised, and he secretly transmitted his voice. Don't be afraid. At most, we'll fight to the death. A mere Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect can't keep me here. Su Fong was touched. In the great world, how many masters would be so protective of their disciples? Then he secretly replied, Master, don't worry. I have my divine ability to protect myself. They won't get anything. How could the immortal exalted Ji Hong not worry? Then he said, Mo Wutian's master is a high-level Tao realm expert, and he cultivates the Dark Night Great Tao. His divine ability is powerful and strange. You killed Mo Wutian, so he will definitely take the opportunity to take revenge. As long as he does something to your young immortal, you will be completely destroyed. Su Fong smiled coldly. It's okay. I have my ways to deal with it. Not only will he not succeed, but I will also give him an unforgettable lesson. The immortal exalted Ji Hong hesitated for a while, but he still chose to believe in Su Fong in the end. He withdrew his divine aura and said to the sect master in a deep voice, Fine. For the sect, I will endure this once. However, if we don't find out anything wrong, the sect must give Su Fong an explanation. The sect master nodded and said, If Su Fong didn't hide anything, it means that he is loyal to the sect. I will make the decision to confer him as the Taoist of the Heavenly Mandate Hao Tsang sect. The Ji Hong immortal exalt sneer. Su Fong seized the first in the Tao disciple competition and even received the baptism of the Heavenly Tao and obtained the acknowledgement of the Heavenly Tao. He ought to be a Tao disciple of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Sky sect, and he's even the son of destiny. Isn't the sect master's so-called explanation slightly laughable? The sect master thought for a while and said decisively, If Su Fong didn't hide anything from the sect, in addition to conferring him as the Taoist, he can also go to the sect's treasure vault and choose any Tao weapon or other treasures. Ji Hong, you should be satisfied with this, right? Enter the sect's treasure vault and choose a treasure. Su Fong's eyes flashed with a hale and hearty luster. He cupped his fist and thanked the sect master. Thank you, sect master. The sect master snorted coldly. You have to prove your innocence first. The old man's deep eyes exuded coldness as he thought. You killed my favorite disciple, and I will let you suffer in a nightmare for eternity. You want to become the sect's Taoist and obtain treasures? Dream on. Su Fong immediately sat cross-legged in the center of the hall and allowed the old man to use his divine ability. Dark Night World. The black-spotted old man struck out an earth-shattering seal, and the area of 10 feet around Su Fong was immediately plunged into a dark divine might. Su Fong felt a strong sense of drowsiness surging from the depths of his mind. He slowly closed his eyes, and his expression became blurred as if he was a mortal who had entered dreamland. The old man's deep eyes flashed with coldness, and then a young immortal shot out from between his eyebrows and plunged into the dark world. Poof! The old man's young immortal hit Su Fong between his eyebrows and passed through Su Fong's divine aperture's defense without any resistance, and entered his divine aperture. He actually has such a shocking dermic power ocean and an aura that has been baptized by divine power. This kid is simply heaven-defying. No wonder Mo Wutian was killed by him. Seeing Su Fong's vast dermic power ocean, the old man's young immortal revealed a shocked expression. The next moment, he revealed killing intent and said coldly, "Even if you were the #1 genius of the great world, you dared to kill my disciple. I will make you wish you were dead." Great dream seer. The old man's young immortal formed a seal and spat out a black smoke from his mouth. Then it flew out and surrounded Su Fong's young immortal, who was sitting cross-legged above the dermic power ocean. After circling above the young immortal's head, the black smoke entered Su Fong's nostrils and entered the depths of Su Fong's consciousness. I want to see what kind of fortuitous encounter you had to have such shocking achievements. The old man sent out a primordial spirit seal, and scenes kept flashing around Su Fong's young immortal. They were Su Fong's memories. At this moment, they were awakened by the old man's supreme divine ability. It was like a dream. As the scenes of memories were interpreted, the old man's young immortal's face was filled with doubt. In Su Fong's memories from the small world to the great world, more than 2,000 years of memories was extremely vast. The scenes of memories formed a long river. However, Su Fong's long river of memories was nothing to the black-spotted old man's great world. Naturally, he could decipher all of it. What surprised the old man was that Su Fong's memories were ordinary and mediocre. He couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. He also couldn't find any great adventures or opportunities that made him feel astonished. Cultivators cultivate in defiance of the heavens. Not to mention a peerless genius like Su Fong. Even ordinary saint immortal cultivators have heaven-defying luck. In more than 2,000 years, he grew from a lowly ant with no background to the #1 genius of the great world. How could he not have any fortuitous encounter? No, it's not that he didn't have any fortuitous encounter. It's just that this part of the memories is all covered by an ethereal force. I can't interpret it. The old man was shocked. He was only one step away from the peak experts of the great world. Moreover, he cultivated the strange dark night, Great Tao. His strength was also outstanding among the great elders of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect. Even with his strength, he was unable to decipher the memories. How inconceivable was this? If I want to know the results, I can only search his soul by force. The old man's young immortal's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Mo Wutian was killed. How could he not take revenge? After searching Su Fong's soul by force, the sect master would at most reprimand him. He definitely wouldn't punish a great elder for a useless genius. As for the Jihong immortal venerable, the old man didn't take him seriously at all. The big shots of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect knew a little. The Jihong immortal venerable seemed to know the great elder, but he wasn't valued. Therefore, no one took him seriously. Chi! Chi! Suddenly, a majestic and ethereal voice of the heavenly Tao suddenly sounded in the sea of Su Fong's divine aperture. The son of destiny, who is appointed by the heavenly Tao, has the protection of the heavenly Tao. How dare an ant like you violate the will of the heavenly Tao and pry into the secrets of the heavens? In the next second, layers of purple chi gushed out from the depths of the divine aperture and the surroundings. A supreme force of luck that seemed to be protected by the heavenly Tao surged out like a tide. It formed a shocking shackle that descended on the old man's young immortal. Immediately after, a mysterious Tao rune flashed out of the purple chi. You will be punished by the heavens if you anger the heavenly Tao. After a cold shout that was filled with killing intent, the thunder of destiny rumbled. The old man's sword chi instantly turned into nothingness. His young immortal only lasted for a moment in the thunder of destiny before being turned into ashes. Only then did Su Fang's young immortal suddenly open his eyes and reveal a cold smile. The so-called voice of the heavenly Tao, just now, was the voice of the young immortal that Su Fang left in the depths of his divine aperture. At the same time, Su Fang activated his purple chi dharma spirit and used his supreme force of luck to intimidate and shackle the old man's young immortal. Then, he directly used the thunder of destiny to kill the young immortal. In order to not reveal any flaws, Su Fang did not use his full strength to activate the thunder of destiny this time. Thus, he did not lose too much life force. The tips of his hair turned slightly white, and his appearance turned into that of a 20-year-old. Although it was difficult to hide from the eyes of the powerhouses present, Su Fang naturally had a way to explain it. The old man was attacked by the thunder of destiny's supreme force, and he did not only lose his young immortal. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1578. The experts of the divine world searching for the blood jade, the lightning of destiny. It could erase everything related to destiny. Xiao Zhaodian was killed by Su Fang's lightning of destiny. Everything related to him was completely erased from the world as if he never existed. One could imagine the terrifying power and dominance of the lightning of destiny. Although Su Fang's lightning of destiny was used against the black-spotted old man's young immortal, his original body was also suppressed by the invisible power of destiny. At the center of the hall, the black-spotted old man who was using his divine ability suddenly trembled as if he was struck by lightning. Immediately after, the black-spotted old man let out a terrified and desperate scream. His physical body turned into ashes layer by layer and fell off his body. His true chi, magic power, primordial spirit, and life force also disappeared into thin air as if they were forcefully taken away. Everyone in the hall was surprised and shocked. The leader of the Tianming Haotsong sect struck out several seals in an attempt to stop the power of the lightning of destiny. However, it was all in vain. After 3 to 4 breaths, the power of the lightning of destiny was completely worn down. The black-spotted old man's aura was extremely weak. Not only did his physical body, true chi, primordial spirit, and life force lose close to 10%, even his cultivation realm fell by a lot. He almost fell from the high level to the mid-level of the Tao realm. Moreover, the black-spotted old man also had a feeling that the entire world was rejecting him. The black-spotted old man looked at Su Fang as if he was a mortal who saw a ghost in broad daylight. His eyes were filled with fear. Such a terrifying scene made all the leaders of the Tianming Haotsong sect in the hall suck in a breath of cold air. Even the Jihong immortal exalt was dumbstruck, and tempestuous waves arose in his heart. This disciple of mine is simply a monster. His ability is unfathomable, and he actually injured an advanced Tao realm expert to such an extent. What's going on? The suzerain was both shocked and astonished as he asked. This child is protected by the heavenly Tao. When I was reading his memories, I was punished by the heavens. The black-spotted old man said in a trembling voice. He was so shocked that he couldn't even finish a sentence. Heavenly punishment. The leaders looked at Su Fang with doubt and a trace of fear. Is there such a thing? The sect master raised his eyebrows in disbelief. As the leader of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect and a peak Tao realm expert, he naturally knew that the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect represented the Heavenly Tao and ruled over all life. This Heavenly Tao wasn't the Heavenly Tao of the universe, but the Heavenly Tao of the myriad worlds. Even if Su Fang had been conferred the title, it was unlikely that he would receive the protection of the true Heavenly Tao to punish the Tao realm expert who had pried into his memories. However, the sect master couldn't find any answers to what had happened to the old man, and he didn't dare to try it himself. At this time, Su Fong slowly opened his eyes. His face was full of confusion, as if he had just woken up. The sovereign's deep eyes flashed with a lightning-like light and fell on Su Fong. He asked in a deep voice, "Su Fong, what happened just now? Why did you lose so much life force?" Su Fong said in confusion, "Disciple had a dream just now. It was as if I had experienced a lifetime, and the experience of my lifetime repeated itself. I don't know why, but this lord entered the dream and tried to erase my life. In the end, a giant shining with golden light descended from the sky and struck out a bolt of divine lightning, killing this lord." Then, Su Fong looked like he had a sudden realization. He gritted his teeth and said, "I understand now. This lord used a divine ability to directly erase my soul, causing me to lose a lot of life force. If it wasn't for that god, I wouldn't have been able to escape this time." The old man with black spots was full of grievances, but he couldn't defend himself. The Jihong immortal venerable pointed at the old man with black spots and shouted, "You are simply crazy. As the grand elder of the sect, you actually did such a vicious thing to a junior disciple. Sect master, is this the guarantee you gave me?" "Enough." The sect master waved his hand and shouted angrily. Then, the sect master said in a deep voice, "He has already been punished by the heavens and suffered heavy losses. Su Fong can be protected by the heavenly Tao, so his words are naturally very trustworthy. It is meaningless to continue investigating. This matter ends here." After a pause, the sect master said, "Pass down my decree. Dao Hongtian and Su Fong are the Taoists of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Their status is equal. At the same time, Dao Hongtian is also a Taoist. Between the two Taoists, who will be the next sect master of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect?" When the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect's big shots in the hall heard the sect master's decision, they immediately began to discuss spiritedly. It was like an empire in the mortal world suddenly conferring two crown princes. Such a decision was simply absurd. After thinking for a while, everyone came to a realization. The sect master clearly didn't want Su Fong to become a Taoist. However, Su Fong was recognized by the heavenly Tao. If he forcefully deprived him of his status, it obviously wouldn't be justifiable. Thus, he conferred Dao Hongtian at the same time. Su Fong was just a foil. Sooner or later, he would be deprived of his Taoist position. The sect master is truly incomparably wise. "Su Fong, let's go." The Jihong immortal venerable sneered. Then, he left the hall with Su Fong and returned to the Jihong planet. 3 days later, the news that the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect conferred Dao Hongtian and Su Fong as Taoists at the same time spread throughout the entire sect. After hearing this news, everyone was stunned and puzzled. Some of the slightly more flexible minds quickly understood the sect's intention. They sighed endlessly at the injustice that Su Fong encountered, but no one dared to say anything. Of course, there was no lack of people who gloated at his misfortune. Immediately after, the news of the black-spotted old man trying to erase Su Fong's soul and being punished by the heavens also spread out, causing everyone in the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect to be extremely shocked. They were even extremely fearful of Su Fong. He was protected by the heavenly Tao and was punished by the heavens for attacking him. Who wouldn't be afraid of such a person? Hence, everyone in the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect kept a respectful distance from Su Fong. Even some of the sovereigns and great elders of the dojos looked at him as if they were looking at a plague god. Xianlin planet. In the depths of a mystic realm, an old man sat cross-legged in the palace. His temples were gray and he had an ancient aura. He was the sovereign of Xianlin planet, Venerable Xianlin. Buzz, Venerable Xianlin, raised his eyebrows in surprise. He flipped his hand and took out a blood-colored rune. Then, he formed a seal. A blood-colored light flashed out from the rune and condensed into a primordial soul shadow. This primordial soul shadow was enveloped by a layer of bloodlight, making it impossible to see his appearance clearly. It was just an essence soul shadow, but already released a terrifying pressure, causing Venerable Xianlin, a mid-stage Tao realm powerhouse, to tremble. Moreover, judging from Venerable Xuanlin's incomparably respectful attitude, this person was clearly not an ordinary person. Venerable Xianlin asked respectfully, "Lord, have you arrived at the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect?" A cold voice came from the bloodlight. "I encountered a demon powerhouse on the way and obtained clues about my race's supreme treasure. I'm currently rushing to the demon world to search for it. I won't be able to reach the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect in a short period of time. Congratulations, Lord Envoy. Another blood jade is about to be obtained. Most importantly, the 2 blood jades that fell into Su Fang's hands are the most important. During the Tao Disciple competition, I placed a wisp of my primordial soul in your body and personally witnessed his strength. Although he's a little extraordinary, he's only at the 8th Tao Saint Immortal realm after all. With your strength, it shouldn't be difficult to suppress him. Before I arrive at the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, try to kill him and obtain the 2 blood jades." It turned out that after Su Fang defeated Ming Yin and won first place in the Tao Disciple competition, he chose the Blood Jade and the Heavenly Desolate Wood as rewards. When he handed the Heavenly Desolate Wood to Venerable Ji Hong, Su Fang sensed the killing intent from Venerable Xianlin. It was the will of this powerhouse that caused the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique to react. At that time, Su Fang had yet to be baptized by the Heavenly Tao, and his cultivation realm was still at the 8th Tao Saint Immortal realm. Venerable Xianlin hesitated. If I don't see the 2 blood jades when I arrive at the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, not only will you not receive any rewards, you won't even be able to protect your own life." Before the voice filled with killing intent could finish, the blood light dissipated, and the primordial soul shadow disappeared without a trace. After a moment of silence equals N underscore, Venerable Xianlin smiled bitterly and muttered to himself, "I originally thought that it was a fortuitous opportunity that fell from the sky, but now it seems that I still don't know if it's a blessing or a curse." It turned out that Venerable Xianlin had accidentally obtained a piece of blood jade. He originally thought that he had obtained a supreme treasure, so he used all his means to fuse with the blood jade. In the end, he achieved nothing. Just as he was about to give up, the bloodlight, primordial soul shadow, actually sensed the existence of the blood jade and directly descended. Such a shocking divine ability was definitely not something that a powerhouse of the great world could possess. The owner of the bloodlight, primordial soul shadow, came from the myriad worlds. In order to search for the shattered blood jade, it was unknown when he came to the great world. Perhaps he had come to the great world a long time ago and specialized in guarding the place where the blood jade was sealed. After learning of the strength and intentions of this powerhouse from the god world, Venerable Xianlin was shocked and stunned. At the same time, he was ecstatic. He thought that he had encountered a huge opportunity. He originally planned to directly offer the blood jade in exchange for some benefits. At the same time, that supreme powerhouse also sensed that there was another blood jade within the territory of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. However, its aura was very blurry. It was obvious that it had been fused with by someone, and Venerable Xianlin was trying to find it. It just so happened that the Tao Disciple competition was about to begin. Venerable Xianlin offered a plan. He used the blood jade in his hand as bait to lure the owner of the other blood jade to appear. Since that person had fused with a blood jade, he would naturally sense the other blood jades. At that time, he would definitely appear. In the end, Su Fang won the Tao Disciple competition and took away the blood jade. That supreme powerhouse placed a wisp of his primordial soul consciousness in Venerable Xuanlin's body and sensed that there was another blood jade hidden in Su Fang's body. It was just that he didn't expect that Su Fang would actually sense the killing intent through the heavenly secret life shrinking technique. It was just that Su Fang didn't expect that the other party would come for the blood jade. Venerable Xianlin originally thought that suppressing Su Fang and obtaining the blood jade would be a piece of cake. The huge opportunity and benefits would be easily obtained. Who knew? When he heard the news that Mo Wutian's master tried to kill Su Fong and was punished by the heavens in the end, Venerable Xianlin was shocked. How could he still dare to attack Su Fong? A huge opportunity is right in front of me. What's there to hesitate about? If I don't obtain the Blood Jade, that powerhouse from the myriad worlds will definitely not let me go. Right now, I can only take the risk. I don't believe that a cultivator at the Nine Dao, Saint Immortal Realm, can really obtain the protection of the heavenly Dao. Determination and ruthlessness flashed in Venerable Xuanlin's eyes. On the main peak of Silent Great Star, four figures shuttled through the array formation and appeared in the sky above the main peak. The leader was Dao Hengtian. Behind him were Tua Yu, Feng Ling, and Zhang Rian. Su Fong, during the Dao Disciple competition, I once promised that I would treat you to a drink after the competition. At this time, I specially brought good wine and invited my good friends and your old friends to come with me. Why haven't you appeared yet? Dao Hengtian's laughter sounded on the main peak with divine might. Welcome. Su Fong flew out. Looking at the four of them, he couldn't help but smile knowingly. At the same time, he thought of Li Haojia and the Lord of Five Poisons, and a faint sense of loss surged in his heart. I strongly recommend a good book, Peerless or God. It's very worth reading. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1579. Extinguishing Soul Dao. Hengtian eventually became the Taoist of the Tianming Haotsong sect, and Su Fong's Taoist position was just a title. It didn't affect Su Fong's good impression of Dao Hengtian. Moreover, Su Fong wasn't interested in the Tianming Haotsong sect's Taoist position at all. Not only did the Tianming Haotsong sect obtain a Blood Jade during the Taoist competition, but they also received many benefits and improved their strength greatly. Moreover, Su Fong's Taoist position wasn't just a title. He enjoyed the same treatment as the Grand Elder and received a shocking amount of resources every year. Furthermore, the leader of the Heavenly Fate Hao Tsong sect had personally promised that Su Fong could go to the sect's treasury and choose any treasure he wanted. With so many gains, what was there for Su Fong to be dissatisfied with? Su Fong was overjoyed when the four of them came together and welcomed Dao Hengtian and the others into the palace. Feng Ling and Tua Yu's performance in the Taoist competition was extremely dazzling, and they were taken in as disciples by the two grand elders of the Tianming Haotsong sect. Because of the two of them, the World Palace became the largest branch under the Tianming Haotsong sect's 81 sites. As for Zhang Riyun, she stayed in the Tianming Haotsong sect to get close to Su Fong. Su Fong could vaguely guess her intentions, but the falling flowers were intentional, while the flowing water was heartless. The four of them drank to their heart's content and only parted after half a month. Deep in the Tianming Celestial Land, there was a majestic mountain surrounded by layers of extremely powerful protective formations. The security was very tight, and even the special disciples of the Tianming Haotsong sect would be unceremoniously suppressed if they approached the mountain without a token from the upper echelons. This mountain was where the Tianming Haotsong sect's secret vault was located. Whoosh, a figure passed through the formation and appeared in the sky above the mountain. It was Su Fong who came to collect the treasure. Su Fong frowned as he unleashed his great perfection ability and swept the mountain peak. This is indeed the treasure vault of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect. Not only are there layers of formations that even Dao Master Han Su could not force his way in, but there is also a supreme, immortal lord in charge. The true treasures of the sect, such as Dao treasures at the level of the Xianming Thunderdome, or even divine treasures, would definitely not be placed here. Su Fong was already satisfied to be able to find a spirit item that could help in the cultivation of various true bodies. As soon as he approached the mountain peak, a guard immediately came forward to question him. Su Fong flashed his command medallion. The guard knew Su Fong's identity and immediately became respectful. He led Su Fong to the mountain peak. Walking into the main hall of the treasury, an old man with a goatee came out to greet him. He cupped his fists and said, "Taoist, are you here to collect the treasures?" This old man with a goatee was the supreme immortal lord in charge of guarding the treasury. He was also a great elder in the heavenly fate Haotsong sect. Su Fong cupped his fists and said yes. Su Fong noticed that there was a trace of fear in the old man's polite demeanor. He could not help but be surprised. Although he was a Taoist in name and had a very honorable status, it was only a title. Everyone in the heavenly fate Haotsong sect knew this very well. It was not enough to make a great elder fear him. I have already received a notice from the higher-ups. Taoist, you can choose any treasure in the treasury. Please go ahead. I will not accompany you. The old man with a goatee asked a middle-aged steward to lead Su Fong into the treasury inside the main hall. He did not show himself again. The middle-aged steward used his command medallion and hand seals to open the layers of seals and entered the main hall outside the treasury. Taoist, do you want to choose magic treasures, elixirs, spiritual items, or other treasures? The middle-aged steward asked very respectfully. Su Fong saw that his demeanor was the same as that of the great elder. He didn't even dare to get close and kept a respectful distance. The more curious Su Fong was, the more he asked, "Steward, could it be that I'm a ferocious beast that eats humans?" The middle-aged steward was startled. He smiled bitterly and said, "Could it be that Lord Taoist doesn't know?" "Know what?" "It has been spread throughout the sect. Taoist, you are the bane of the heavenly fate Haotsong sect." Su Fong came to a sudden realization. Because of him, the heavenly fate Haotsong sect cut off all connections with the other worlds. When the higher-ups asked, Mo Wutian's master was punished by the heavens. If this was not a bane, then what was? And a great bane. No wonder the old man with a goatee and the middle-aged steward were so respectful. "I have become a bane?" Su Fong smiled helplessly. The variety and quantity of treasures in the secret vault were extremely shocking. From elixirs to magic treasures, from talismans, there were all kinds of ores, spiritual items, and everything. Due to the large number of treasures, it was impossible to let people choose one by one. Instead, a jade slip with a list of treasures was prepared. The type and use of each treasure was described in detail. He did not lack magic treasures or elixirs. What he was interested in were some treasures of heaven and earth. Therefore, he directly chose from the jade slip of heaven and earth treasures. He activated the jade slip with his magic power. Rays of spiritual light shot out from it, and the images of the treasures of heaven and earth appeared clearly. The heavenly fate Haotsong sect was worthy of being the #1 force in the immortal world. Although the treasures in the secret vault were not the best, any one of them would be treated as a supreme treasure in the outside world. People would not hesitate to risk their lives to snatch it. Su Fong found many treasures of heaven and earth that were of great help to the cultivation of various true body abilities. For example, treasures such as the golden origin iron essence and the deviant flame seed were all treasures that Su Fong dreamed of. Su Fong found a very serious problem. There were too many treasures of heaven and earth in the secret vault, but he could only choose one. Would it be more painful than this? Su Fong glanced at the middle-aged steward from time to time. His eyes flashed with a hale and hearty luster. It was as if he was going to suppress the middle-aged steward at any time and then rob the secret vault clean. The middle-aged steward was so scared that he left Su Fong far away, fearing that he would really do so. Of course, Su Fong was just thinking about it. Even if he subdued the middle-aged steward, it would be difficult for him to open the seal and enter the secret vault to take the treasures. Moreover, the secret vault of the heavenly fate Haotsong sect was an important place. No matter how bold Su Fong was, he would not dare to rob the treasure vault. Picking and choosing, Su Fong's eyes were dazzled, and he could not make a choice. The middle-aged steward was burning with anxiety. The old man with the goatee repeatedly transmitted his spirit to him. Let the Taoist quickly get the treasures and leave the secret vault. If this jinx stays for a moment longer, I will be frightened. The middle-aged steward braced himself and went forward to urge Su Fong, who knew that Su Fong was not in a hurry and chose one by one. At this rate, he would not be able to find a satisfactory treasure in 3 years. The middle-aged steward was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan, but there was nothing he could do about Su Fong. 3 days later. Hey, what is this? In the spiritual light emitted from the jade slip, there was a picture of a spiritual object. This spiritual object was very strange. It was a fist-sized lump of black-red soil, somewhat like the furnace ash in a pill furnace. The middle-aged steward hurriedly went forward to explain, although I don't know the origin or name of this object, it is very extraordinary. It is a peerless treasure from the heavens. The Taoist really has good eyesight. You can see such an extraordinary treasure at a glance. Su Fong carefully examined this unknown lump of black-red soil. Its information was in _1. According to the information, this lump of black-red soil was indeed not an object from the great world. It contained an extremely shocking earth element essence and terrifying fire poison from the heavens. If an ordinary immortal venerable expert was touched by a little, they would lose a layer of skin even if they did not die. If it was not for the terrifying fire poison that turned this lump of black-red soil, which contained the earth element essence of the great world, into a useless wasteland, it would have been taken away by someone long ago instead of being placed in the secret vault. A lump of wasteland from the heavens is called extraordinary. Su Fong coldly glanced at the middle-aged steward. The middle-aged steward trembled and smiled embarrassedly. I misspoke. Please take your time to choose again, Sir Taoist. Unexpectedly, Su Fong said, Anyway, I didn't choose a treasure that I'm satisfied with. I am interested in this wasteland. Let me see it. This wasteland is extremely poisonous. Even the great elder does not dare to touch it. Since Sir Taoist is interested, I will go and get it immediately. The middle-aged steward originally wanted to persuade Su Fong, but after being glanced at by Su Fong, he hurriedly went to the secret vault. Not long after, the middle-aged steward came out with a stone box in both hands. Trembling with fear, he placed the stone box on the table in the hall. Sir Taoist, please be careful. Do not touch the wasteland. The middle-aged steward cautioned a few more times. Then he struck out a seal. Xin Guang shot out from the stone box, and the box lid sprang open automatically. Boom! A black-red flame more than 3 feet high shot out from the stone box. A scorching flame spread out, causing the temperature in the hall to rise abruptly. In an instant, it gave people the feeling that they were inside a treasure-refining cauldron. Sizzle, sizzle. The poison contained in the flame corroded the air, making sizzling sounds. It looked terrifying. Su Fong first felt that in the purple cloud space deep in his body, the purple cloud Dharma spirit's original spirit was stirring. Then, Gue Gue screamed. It was afraid and excited by the poison in the black-red flame. Su Fong was not surprised. He separated a young immortal and entered the purple cloud space. Ozzy, do you know about this wasteland? Is it also a spirit treasure? The purple cloud Dharma spirit's original spirit said, Master, this wasteland is not a spirit treasure. It is furnace ash from a treasure-refining cauldron. Furnace ash? Su Fong was disappointed. He did not expect that the black-red soil was really furnace ash. Master, this is not ordinary furnace ash. It is a supreme, earth-type spiritual item called extinguishing soil. Ozzy heard my old master, the heavenly treasure emperor, mention it once, so I remember it. Extinguishing soil. Hearing that it was a treasure, Su Fong's eyes lit up. Extinguishing soil is a divine refining cauldron, and it is not an ordinary divine refining cauldron. After refining countless divine artifacts, the impurities were refined into furnace ash. After countless years of refining in the cauldron, it became a peerless treasure. Extinguishing soil not only contains earth-type essence, but also extremely abundant great pregnant purple chi. It is a great world. It is rare even in the myriad worlds. Master's natal magic treasure only needs to fuse with a fingernail-sized piece to increase its earth-type power by more than 10 times. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1580. Demon Monkey, the purple cloud Dharma Spirit's original soul's words made Su Fang's heart beat rapidly. The purple cloud Dharma Spirit needed to devour the great pregnant purple cloud, or the artifact spirit of a Tao artifact, in order to continue to evolve. If the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda's Earth-type ability increased by 10 times, how powerful would its Earth-type divine might be? Su Fang continued to ask, why would the extinguished soil contain such terrifying fire poison? Azzy doesn't know. Logically speaking, the extinguished soil shouldn't contain such fire poison. Perhaps this extinguished soil was refined by a god-tier artifact cauldron into some extremely poisonous spiritual item. That's why it contains such fire poison. Others are afraid of this fire poison, but I'm not. Gue can use this fire poison to improve. This lump of extinguished soil is mine. Su Fang made up his mind. N_R. However, he revealed a disappointed expression. He said to the middle-aged manager, "This extinguished soil is interesting, but it's useless. If I could choose another treasure, I might choose it. Sigh, I have to continue choosing. I don't know how many years I'll have to spend before I can choose a treasure I like." The middle-aged manager was about to keep the extinguished soil when the goateed elder sent another message. Let him take this useless, extinguished soil. Let him choose another treasure. Hurry up and chase this jinx away. The middle-aged manager said enthusiastically, since Master Tao Disciple is interested in this extinguished soil, why don't you choose it? I'll make the decision. Master Tao Disciple can choose another treasure. However, you have to choose quickly. Thank you very much. Su Fang cupped his fists and thanked him. He immediately chose a golden origin iron essence that was the size of an adult's fist. Then, he left in embarrassment. The goateed elder and the middle-aged manager, who had been paying attention to Su Fang, heaved a long sigh of relief. It was as if they had sent off a plague. Once he returned to the main peak of the silent great star, Su Fang immediately entered his cave abode and came to the true dragon realm. Golden Origin Iron Essence. Su Fang took out a piece of Golden Origin Iron Essence that he had just obtained from his storage ring. The metal source was a precious metal element treasure in the Iron Mother Great World. It contained pure and abundant metal element essence, and was the supreme treasure Su Fang used to cultivate the non-phase Golden Dipper body. Unlike the Gold Origin Mother Steel he obtained from the silent Great Star's treasury, this Gold Origin Mother Steel was much smaller, but it was golden in color. Its quality was much higher than the one he obtained last time. Otherwise, it wouldn't have ended up in the Heaven's Fate How Song Sek's treasury. Su Fang was confident that his amorphous Golden Dipper body would be upgraded to another level after devouring the Golden Origin Mother Steel. However, what Su Fang valued the most was still the extinguishing soil. After putting away the Golden Origin Mother Steel, Su Fang took out the stone box that contained the quenching soil. Opening the seal in the stone box, the extinguishing soil emitted a black-red flame, releasing an astonishing fire and fire poison. Gue, you can't wait any longer, right? Come out. Su Fang sensed that Gue was restless in his body and immediately released it. Whoosh! Gue pounced on the extinguishing soil, but as soon as it got close to the stone box, it immediately shrank back. It was obviously afraid of the flames and fire poison of the extinguishing soil. Su Fang smiled slightly and released the power of the yin-yang world, stripping out a black-red poison gas thinner than a hair from the flames. The fire poison in the extinguishing soil was extremely terrifying. An ordinary cultivator's true qi could incinerate and corrode it, but Su Fang's yin-yang world had no qualms about it. Gue leaped up and sucked the poison gas into its body. Roar! Gue let out a roar full of pain and excitement. Obviously, the fire poison in the extinguishing soil was not an easy task for it. Whoosh! Gue's physical body shattered and turned into a black-red pool of blood, swallowing the fire poison in the form of the yellow spring blood sea. Just like that, Su Fang peeled off the fire poison in the extinguishing soil bit by bit and let Gue devour it. It took Su Fang 3 years to remove all the fire poison. The flames released by the extinguishing soil turned dark red, no longer black-red. After swallowing a large amount of fire poison, Gue continued to fuse with the fire poison in the form of the yellow spring blood sea. Although the surface area of the blood water Gue turned into did not change, the toxicity became more shocking. Su Fong estimated that Gue's poison was a fatal threat to mid-level Dao realm immortal venerables. Then Su Fong activated the purple Qi Dharma spirit and released the artifact spirit. A purple Xian Guang flashed out and swept across the extinguishing soil, rolling out a strong purple gas from it. Then, the purple Xian Guang brought it back to the purple Qi space in the depths of Su Fong's body. The great pregnant purple Qi contained in the extinguishing soil was born when refining divine artifacts. It was difficult to find in the great world. Although there was not much great pregnant purple Qi in the extinguishing soil, it must have undergone another transformation after being devoured by the purple Qi Dharma spirit. The extinguishing soil that had lost its toxicity was no longer dangerous. Su Fong separated a consciousness to sense the interior of the extinguishing soil. Boom! As if entering the soil that had been burned red, his consciousness sensed a shocking amount of fire and earth energy. Su Fong had the illusion that his whole body was burned to ashes. The extinguishing soil not only contains the essence of earth, but also the power of fire that has been burned by the artifact spirit for countless years. If I use this power to cultivate, not only will Fire Cloud Emperor undergo a transformation, he might even be able to form a Yang Meridian. Fire poison, great pregnant purple Qi, earth essence, and fire energy. This extinguishing soil that looks like a wasteland is simply a rare treasure. I've picked up a treasure this time. Su Fong was so happy that he could not close his mouth. I wonder where this extinguishing soil came from. How did it appear in the great world? Su Fong could not help but be curious about the origin of the extinguishing soil. Unexpectedly, at this moment, there was a boom. Su Fong's consciousness sensed a consciousness from the extinguishing soil and turned into a consciousness image. He saw a flaming man struggling inside a cauldron that was constantly spewing out shocking flames. He roared in an inhuman manner. The violent roar gave Su Fong a feeling that shook the heavens and made Su Fong's heart palpitate. It was not a man made of fire, but a demon monkey. Even in the midst of the flames, one could still see the unruliness and anger in its eyes. Even with such astonishing flames, it was difficult to incinerate its body, let alone shake its will. Qi. The interior of the cauldron began spewing out black smoke that fused with the flames, forming a shocking poisonous fire that constantly corroded and burned the demon monkey's body. At this moment, the demon monkey could no longer hold on. Its body began to melt layer by layer. Heavenly fire, divine lord, I'd rather die than submit to you. Boom! The demon monkey's body suddenly exploded as a terrifying aura surged into the cauldron. The cauldron exploded and turned into a ball of fire. It was as though the entire world was burning. Su Fong's consciousness that entered the extinguishing soil also shattered with a loud bang. So it was a deity who planned to use a divine cauldron to refine the demon monkey, who knew that the demon monkey would self-destruct before dying, destroying the cauldron along with it. Su Fong roughly guessed the origin of the extinguishing soil from the consciousness image. He was shocked and aghast. The demon monkey's violent and unruliness echoed in his mind for a long time, shaking his soul. Following that, Su Fong stripped the fire elemental energy from the extinguishing soil layer by layer and used the power of the yin-yang world to seal it into a runic symbol. The fire elemental energy came from a divine artifact. Su Fong planned on using any fire elemental power of nature in a great world to break through the 46th Yang Meridian, but now was not the time. At this moment, he had hundreds of thousands of vast Yang pills and many fire elemental spiritual items. He used the pills and spiritual items to cultivate the 9 Yang, 9 transformations. When the Yang force accumulated to a certain extent, he could use the fire elemental energy from the extinguishing soil to break through the Yang Meridian. This way, the birth of a young meridian would be easy. Xianhuang, come out. At this moment, Su Fong activated the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and fused it with his body. Then he released his divine might to absorb the earth elemental essence from the extinguishing soil. Qi, 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 qi. Gray Xianhuang was absorbed by Su Fong through his palm before being absorbed by the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. This natal magic treasure was so excited that it could not stop trembling, as if it was enjoying a feast that it had never enjoyed before. On the Destiny platform, the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda had absorbed a large amount of Earth elemental essence and was on the verge of being promoted to a royal Grey Dao artifact. At this moment, it was absorbing the Earth elemental essence from the extinguishing soil. It was not even the size of the purple cloud Dharma spirit's estimated fingernail, but it immediately had an earth-shattering reaction. Master, I'm about to be promoted to a royal Grey Dao artifact. The Earth elemental essence is enough, but the other natural essences are still lacking. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda's excited voice came. Still lacking? Let me give you a hand. Su Fong immediately placed the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda into the heavenly creation cauldron. Then, he placed the other spiritual items, including the golden origin iron essence, into the heavenly creation cauldron and poured them into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda to help the natal magic treasure make the final breakthrough. When the natal magic treasure was promoted to a royal Grey Dao artifact, Su Fong's natal divine power would also skyrocket. As for how much it would increase, Su Fong could not estimate it for the time being. Only a small amount of the extinguishing soil was consumed. There is still so much left that the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda could not absorb it in a short time. How to deal with it? Su Fong had a headache. If Law was not asleep, he could ask him. With Law's knowledge, he would definitely be able to use this extinguishing soil to its fullest potential. I don't know when Law will wake up, and if he will be injured when he wakes up. Thinking of Law sacrificing himself and helping at a critical moment, Su Fong was touched. I haven't entered the Origin Sacred Mirror for a long time. Let's go and ask that mysterious senior. Ever since the Jihong Immortal Venerable took the initiative to take in a disciple, the mysterious woman had asked Su Fong to agree. After that, Su Fong entered the treasure mirror space. The mysterious woman never appeared again, which made Su Fong feel very strange. This mysterious woman must have some connection with the Jihong Immortal Venerable. At the very least, they knew each other. Su Fong peeled off a young immortal and seeped into the mirror. He entered the Origin Sacred Mirror and came to the mysterious Crimson Divine Artifact space. Su Fong was surprised to find that although the flying speed in the Divine Artifact space was not as fast as flying on a sword between heaven and earth, it was several times easier than before. Obviously, it was because the 9 Yang 9 transformations had reached the 5th transformation and the Yang Qi had increased. After releasing his will and Yang Qi, Su Fong waited slowly. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1581. Luo's aura this time. Su Fong was not disappointed. Not long after he entered the divine artifact space, a familiar 9 frost aura swept out from the depths of the void. It swept into the primordial chaos sacred realm out of thin air. I never expected you to have cultivated 18 Yang Meridians and reached the 5th transformation. Congratulations. It looks like you have been working hard in your cultivation all these years. Speak. Why are you looking for me? I don't have much time. The familiar, mysterious woman's voice sounded leisurely. Su Fong said respectfully, Senior, I unintentionally obtained a treasure called Extinguishing Soil. I wonder what it can be used for. The mysterious woman's voice was clearly taken aback as she asked, Extinguishing Soil? What's that? Su Fong never expected the omniscient, mysterious woman to have something she did not know. He could not help but be surprised. The mysterious woman seemed to read Su Fong's mind as she said indifferently, In the 3 realms, there are all sorts of treasures and spiritual items. How can I know all of them? Su Fong condensed an image with his mind and displayed the extinguishing soil. Then, He recounted the origins of the extinguishing soil that the purple cloud Dharma spirit had mentioned, as well as the mental images contained within the extinguishing soil. Heavenly fire, divine lord, demon monkey. I see. The mysterious woman was enlightened. Su Fang's mind jolted. Senior, you know of heavenly fire, divine lord, and demon monkey? In ancient times, a peerless demon monkey ran amok in the myriad worlds. He wreaked havoc in the divine world and destroyed it. Later on, this demon monkey, who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, actually challenged the supreme celestial arch of the divine world. As a result, it was suppressed. Heavenly Fire Divine Lord was asked to refine it using the divine artifact cauldron in an attempt to force it to submit. Who knew that the demon monkey would be so unruly? After being refined in the cauldron for millions of years, it self-detonated at the moment of its death, perishing together with the divine artifact cauldron. This matter is widely known in the myriad worlds. It is still being spread to this day and has been arranged into various versions of the story. I naturally know some of it. I never expected that the ashes of the divine artifact cauldron's explosion would end up in a great world and end up in your hands. Although this demon monkey is arrogant, it is unyielding. I admire it greatly. It is a pity that it ended up like this. This piece of furnace ash, which you call extinguishing earth, contains the essence of earth from all the worlds in the universe. It's a rare treasure, even in the universe. Since you've obtained it, it means that it's your opportunity. Don't waste it. The mysterious woman spoke slowly, and her tone was filled with emotion. Su Fang was filled with admiration for the demon monkey. He then asked, "What is the use of this piece of extinguishing soil? If I were to refine it into a spirit treasure, its power would be extraordinary, but it would be a pity. Tell me about your current cultivation situation, and I'll see if I can make use of it." Su Fang told the mysterious woman everything about his cultivation realm, the abilities of his various true bodies, the heaven and earth Tao Palace, the world tree, the Yang Meridian, and so on. In fact, he couldn't hide anything. With the mysterious woman's strength, she could easily see through him. "You actually managed to cultivate out a world tree?" The mysterious woman's voice was filled with shock. Su Fang was a little nervous. "Senior, is there something wrong?" "There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I'm very surprised. The true essence of cultivation is to cultivate oneself into a world. However, there are thousands of great Daos in the world of cultivation, and the worlds cultivated are all different. However, there is one thing in common, and that is that most cultivators, including the supreme experts who stand at the peak of the God realm, cultivate their own worlds as part of the universe. You cultivate the 9 Yang, 9 transformations. What you cultivate is the supreme heavenly Tao, the universe of heaven and earth. Your world tree, on the other hand, evolves the 6 forces of nature and the laws of heaven and earth in the void of the universe of heaven and earth. In this way, your world will be a complete world like the real universe of heaven and earth. If you can reach the peak of the world of cultivation, your achievements will be unimaginable. Even I can't predict it. Su Fang's current cultivation base was far lower than Mysterious Woman's. Her words made Su Fang feel dizzy, but he couldn't ask anything. He could only stand there and listen with a silly smile. "You really surprised me. I didn't expect you to grow to such a height in just a few thousand years. It won't be long before you and I can meet again." The mysterious woman's voice was filled with amazement and joy that had never been there before. Using the 6 forces of nature as a foundation to cultivate a world tree. Your idea is not bad. You already have the 2 mature wood and fire true bodies, and you've also cultivated the lightning and metal true bodies. What you lack are the earth and water true bodies. I don't have an earth true body cultivation method either. However, you can temporarily let the world tree absorb this piece of extinguished soil. In this way, the world tree will obtain the earth essence and grow faster. Your heavenly Tao Palace will also become more stable and heavy. You can only slowly search for an earth true body cultivation method in the future. I understand. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Su Fang cupped his fists and thanked her. Then he couldn't help but ask, "Senior, my master, the Jihong Immortal Lord, I know what you want to ask. The Jihong Immortal Lord did come from the God realm and had some connections with me in the past. It's enough that you know this. Knowing more won't do you any good. Don't ask again in the future. Whoosh! Just as the mysterious woman finished speaking, the 9 cold chi suddenly swept into the crimson world and disappeared completely. This master of mine and this mysterious senior of his are not simple characters. After Su Fong sighed, the young immortal immediately flew out of the origin sacred realm. After returning to his main body, Su Fong immediately absorbed the extinguished soil in the stone box in his body and sent it into the heavenly Tao Palace. Something that Su Fong didn't expect happened. The world tree suddenly released a shocking suction force and sucked the extinguished soil to the bottom. Chi chi chi. Roots extended wildly from the bottom of the world tree and took root in the extinguished soil. They began to absorb the earth essence in a frenzy and then turned it into the power of the yin-yang world. It flowed from the yang meridian to his entire body and formed a cycle. Although he couldn't see the growth of the world tree, Su Fong could sense that the world tree's growth had more than doubled after absorbing the earth essence. The growth of the world tree not only allowed Su Fong to communicate with nature and absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth at a speed that nearly doubled, but his dragon-subduing true body, Black Lotus true body, Fire Cloud Emperor body, and Faceless Golden Dipper body had also undergone changes. Su Fong felt that the world tree was no longer a rootless tree, but a tree that grew in the soil. Moreover, the heavenly Tao Palace also had a thick and extensive divinity. If he had an earth true body cultivation method, Su Fong estimated that it wouldn't take long for his earth true body to reach an extremely high level or even complete maturity. After all, the extinguished soil was a supreme treasure from the great world. It wasn't something that the great world's treasures of heaven and earth could compare to. Earth nourishes and bears all things in the world. The earth essence can accelerate the growth of the world tree. I still need to find more earth-type phase and absorb more earth-type essence. The purple cloud Dharma spirit had undergone another transformation, and his natal magic treasure was about to become a king-grade Tao weapon. The heavenly Tao Palace and the world tree were also rapidly improving. Gui's strength would also skyrocket. As a result, Su Fong's strength had once again increased greatly. He would have more power to protect himself in the catastrophe. Su Fong was overjoyed with such a bountiful harvest. He was even grateful to Mo Wutian's master. If it weren't for him, how would he have the chance to enter the heavenly fate Hao Tsang Sek's secret vault and obtain the extinguished soil? Su Fong flew out of the true dragon realm and left the silent great star. With the identity of a Tao disciple, it would be a waste if he didn't use it. Su Fong went to the heavenly fate Hao Tsang Sek's resource palace and obtained 100 years' worth of resources in advance. He could now enjoy the same treatment as the great elder. How shocking would 100 years' worth of resources be when added up? After returning to the main peak of the silent great star, Su Fong announced that he would go into seclusion and begin a long period of cultivation. True Dragon Realm. After forming the seal, Su Fong's physical body shattered. He transformed into the Yellow Springs Blood Sea and devoured the Golden Origin Steel Core. The Xinhuang Six-Path Pagoda had only consumed less than a third of the Golden Origin Steel Core when it was upgraded to a King-grade Tao weapon. The remaining was used to cultivate the formless Golden Dipper body. After that, Su Fong separated his blood and water clones from the Yellow Springs Blood Sea and cultivated the 9 Yang, 9 transformations, the Heavenly Fate Life, Shrinking Technique, the Ethereal Truth, and other cultivation techniques at the same time. At the same time, Su Fong distributed the resources in his hands without hesitation. The cultivation resources enjoyed by the more than 300,000 cultivators and Big Goblin under him were better than the official disciples of the Heavenly Fate Hao Tsang sect. On the other hand, the Big Goblin like Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, Tongtian Demon Venerable, and other experts like Old Monster Zhu Tian and Enlightened Being Peng Hua enjoyed even less resources than the special disciples. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 300 years had passed. During this period, the purple cloud Dharma spirit devoured the great pregnant purple cloud in the extinguishing soil and grew stronger again. Then, the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda was successfully upgraded to a King Grey Dao weapon. After that, it was Gui Gui. After devouring the fire poison in the extinguishing soil, it grew to a level that even Su Fong was wary of. In particular, its poison had the additional burning and corrosive properties of the fire poison, making it extremely powerful. The big goblin and cultivators under Su Fong continued to improve during these 300 years, causing Su Fong's overall strength to increase continuously. Every few days, there would be a big goblin or a breakthrough in cultivation, and there would be a constant stream of 9 heavenly tribulations. As for Su Fong himself, when he reached the 200th year cultivation, he devoured the vast Yang pill and used the fire energy extracted from the extinguishing soil to successfully break through the 46th Yang meridian. Under the state of constantly devouring various pills, spiritual items, and resources, his various true body's abilities also improved greatly. His cultivation realm also finally rose to the peak of the 9 paths of the sane immortal realm. Such an improvement was astonishing. However, in the face of a catastrophe that could destroy the great world, Su Fong still felt that his strength was insufficient. If time permitted, he would go into seclusion for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. When Su Fong was in seclusion, Zhang Riyun often visited him. Every time, she returned disappointed, but she still persevered and came every few days. On this day, an uninvited guest came, forcing Su Fong to stop his cultivation. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu wants to see you? No. In the past, Su Fong and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu had a life and death grudge. However, with Su Fong's current status and strength, he no longer cared about this person and could eliminate him at any time. He did not expect him to take the initiative to seek an audience. Naturally, Su Fong would not meet Heavenly Lord Xian Shu. However, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu did not give up and asked Z Satin to send a rune talisman into the cave abode. Buzz, there was an aura in the rune talisman. After Su Fong sensed it with his perfected ability, his divine light changed instantly. Luo's aura? No. Equals _ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1582. The blood chi sealed in the rune talisman was exactly the same as laws under Su Fong's great perfection ability. Su Fong mistakenly thought it was Law's chi equals N_R. Law was sleeping in the blood jade in his body. The rune talisman sent by Lord of Xian Shu contained Law's blood chi. The only possibility was that he had another blood jade. However, Su Fong used the life shrinking technique to sense it. He sensed a fate chi that was completely different from Law's in this blood chi. The Tao runes of fate flickered in his divine aperture and finally condensed into a figure in blood. The figure looked like it was cast in blood and looked very similar to Law. However, upon closer inspection, Su Fong found the difference between this figure of fate and Law. Law looked to be in his 20s. He had sword-like eyebrows and a square face full of curly hair. He had a bold and rough temperament. However, this figure in blood red was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He gave off a creepy and eerie feeling and was extremely powerful. Although he judged that this breath did not come from Law, Su Fong's head was still buzzing and his scalp was numb. This person is most likely from Law's clan. How can Lord of Xian Shu have the blood chi of Law's clan? Why did he come to see me? Su Fong was shocked. He immediately walked out of his cave abode and came to the reception hall of the main peak. Greetings, Taoist. Lord of Xian Shu saw Su Fong and quickly knelt down on one knee to greet him. Su Fong was the Taoist of Tianming Haotsong sect. Whether it was a name or not, his status was there. Even the great elder had to bow to him. Lord of Xian Shu was just a disciple of Xian Lin Taoist sect. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. He naturally had to bow to Su Fong. Once upon a time, Su Fong was just an ant in desolate immortal region in the eyes of Lord of Xian Shu. He could easily suppress him. At this moment, seeing that Su Fong had to bow to him and that his life was in Su Fong's hands. One could imagine how Heavenly Lord Xianshu felt. Looking down at Heavenly Lord Xianshu, Su Fong sighed in his heart. At that time, Lord Xianshu was like a mountain that Su Fong had to look up to. It was difficult to surpass. At this moment, Su Fong had already reached a higher peak. When he looked back at Lord of Heaven Xianshu's peak, it could no longer be called a peak. It was just a stumbling block on the way. Cultivation was just like that. You would constantly climb one peak after another. And when you look back, you would find that the peak you once thought was unreachable was actually so insignificant. Su Fong said indifferently, "Get up. What do you want from me?" Heavenly Lord Xianshu didn't get up. He said shakily, "I was blind in the past and offended you, Taoist. I've always felt uneasy. I'm here to apologize." "Apologize? What are you going to use to apologize?" Su Fong said coldly. In the past, he had almost died in the hands of this person. Even the 5 small worlds were almost destroyed by him and Feng Wuzi. If there was a chance, Su Fong would naturally kill him without hesitation. However, it was inconvenient to do so in Tianming Hao Tsang's sect. I know that I can't be forgiven, so I didn't dare to come and apologize. I know that Taoist child is determined to obtain the blood-colored immortal stone. In order to appease Taoist child's anger, I inquired from many places and thought of 1,000 ways. Finally, I found the whereabouts of a blood-colored immortal stone. Su Fong's eyes flashed sharply. "How did you know I was looking for the blood-colored immortal stone?" That time, Feng Wuzi and I joined forces to attack Taoist. My original body was suppressed by Taoist, and then Taoist used soul search. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know what Taoist wanted to know from my memories. After the summit competition, Taoist chose the blood-colored immortal stone as a reward. Only then did I realize that Taoist used soul search on me because he wanted to know the whereabouts of the blood-colored jade. Su Fong was shocked. He thought that he had chosen the blood-colored jade very secretly and hid it from everyone. He didn't expect Heavenly Lord Xianshu to see through it and connect it to the soul search on his original body. From the looks of it, no one dared to look down on him. Even if it was a small figure who looked insignificant, he might appear at any time and take a bite out of him. Su Fong asked, "Let me ask you, where did you get the aura of the blood-colored immortal stone?" In the past, that blood-colored immortal stone was obtained by an ordinary disciple of Xianlin Taoist sect who entered a dangerous place called Sun Luo Wild Abyss. Therefore, for more than 200 years, I didn't hesitate to use up all the wealth I had accumulated and issued a mission in the sect. I invited fellow disciples to enter Sun Luo Wild Abyss many times to search and see if they were lucky enough to find the other broken part of the blood-colored immortal stone. Just a few days ago, a fellow disciple indeed found a similar blood-colored immortal stone in the depths of Sun Luo Wild Abyss. However, that place was extremely dangerous. With his strength, he couldn't bring it out at all. He could only barely obtain the aura of the blood-colored immortal stone. I didn't dare to delay, so I came to inform Taoist that I am willing to personally lead the way to Sun Luo Wild Abyss and help Taoist find that blood-colored immortal stone. With Taoist strength, it would be easy for you to break the seal and obtain the blood-colored immortal stone. I hope Taoist won't pursue my sins in the future. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. Sun Luo Wild Abyss? Lord of Heaven Xianshu hurriedly replied. Sun Luo Wild Abyss is a barren land. It was opened as a trial ground by the sect. Although it is extremely dangerous, it is only for ordinary disciples. For Taoist, it is nothing. Su Fong's deep eyes flashed with coldness. He revealed a bright smile and said, "Thank you for your trouble. If you can find a blood-colored immortal stone, not only will I not pursue your sins, but I will also reward you handsomely. You go. Wait a few days for me to prepare, then we will immediately leave for Sun Luo Wild Abyss." "Thank you, Taoist, for your magnanimity." Xianshu was wild with joy. After repeatedly thanking him, she got up and left. Su Fong sat quietly for a while. Then his figure flashed, and he left the main hall. He followed Lord of Heaven Xianshu from afar. He activated his great perfection ability and used the life-shrinking technique at the same time. A sensing force locked onto Lord of Heaven Xian Shu. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu couldn't detect his existence, but he could clearly sense Lord of Heaven Xian Shu's every move. If only my second primordial spirit was here. I can use Night Demon's method to control Xian Shu's consciousness. It will be hard to hide any schemes. Su Fong suddenly thought of his second primordial spirit. Whoosh, Lord of Heaven Xian Shu flew out of Jihong Dojo and came to a floating fragment in the void. Other than Tianyi Dojo in Tianming Celestial Land, the other 80 dojos in Tianming Haotsong Sect were actually galaxies formed by 80 stars. There were countless floating fragments in the galaxies. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu hit on a fragment and created a formation. Even high-level Dao realm cultivators wouldn't be able to sense his existence if they didn't purposely check. An ant from the barren immortal region dares to put on airs in front of me. Xian Shu, this time, I'll make sure you die without a burial place. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu snorted and formed a Dharma seal. From his Xian Guang, a shadow of the primordial spirit of divine furnace holy man appeared. The primordial spirit of divine furnace holy man said in a majestic voice, Xian Shu, what's the matter? Didn't I tell you not to contact me if there's nothing important? If it's not important, I won't let you off easily this time. What kind of status did holy man divine furnace have? If not for the fact that Lord of Heaven Xian Shu was still useful, he wouldn't even have the right to talk to him. I have something important to report to Lord Divine Furnace Holy Man. It's related to Su Fong. Su Fong, Divine Cauldron Holy Master's eyes suddenly shone with a hearty light. Tell me. Yes. Just like that, the two started to communicate. After half an hour, Lord of Heaven Xian Shu left the fragment and went straight to Xianlin Dojo. A moment later, in the void thousands of miles away, Su Fong flew out of a fragment with a face full of shock. I didn't expect Tao Venerable Divine Furnace to know that I have a purple or a Dharma spirit. No wonder I could sense killing intent from him. I'm in trouble now. I also didn't expect that Venerable Xianlin planned to make a move on me. He used the news of the Blood Jade as bait to try to lure me out of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect and set a trap to kill me. I'm afraid Venerable Xianlin also didn't expect that Lord of Heaven Xian Shu would actually betray him. Strange, where did Venerable Xianlin get an aura similar to Luo's? Moreover, he even tried to snatch the two Blood Jades from me. What's his goal? The conversation between Lord of Heaven Xian Shu and Divine Furnace Holy Man was clearly understood by Su Fong, who used the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique and his perfected sensing ability. However, Lord of Heaven Xian Shu also didn't know why Venerable Xianlin wanted to kill Su Fong. He only knew that his goal was the two Blood Jades on Su Fong. Venerable Xianlin, Tao Venerable Divine Furnace. One wants to snatch the Blood Jades, while the other wants to obtain the purple aura Dharma spirit. They really treat me, Su Fong, as a weakling. Fortunately, I have grasped the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique and can sense anyone's fate aura. Otherwise, I would have really been deceived by this aura that Venerable Xianlin took out and ended up falling into his trap. In addition to Tao Venerable Divine Furnace, I would really be in danger at that time. You want to kill me? Su Fong. Su Fong's eyes exuded coldness. After a moment of silence, Su Fong's deep eyes flashed with ruthlessness and decisiveness. Since Tao Venerable Divine Furnace and Venerable Xianlin want to kill me, then I might as well kill the two of them together to resolve future troubles. Su Fong's cold voice sounded. Tao Venerable Divine Furnace was the great elder of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Moreover, he was also a master artifact refiner. His artifact refinement skills were considered top-notch in the great world, and his cultivation realm had reached the high level of the Tao realm. Being targeted by such a powerful figure, Su Fong felt threatened at all times. He had to get rid of him as soon as possible. As for Venerable Xianlin, it was related to Luo's matter. Su Fong naturally wouldn't let him off and asked him about the whole story. equals underscore our download address. Phone reading, book review. Chapter 1583. In terms of cultivation realm, Su Fong was only at the 9th sane immortal realm. In the great world, he could be considered a peerless immortal emperor. However, compared to immortal venerable Xianlin, a mid-stage Dao realm powerhouse, and Dao venerable divine furnace, a high-level Dao realm powerhouse, the difference in cultivation realm was no different from the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, these two immortal venerables were important figures of the number one faction of the immortal Dao, the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Their true combat strength was definitely not something that the ordinary immortal venerables Su Fong had killed before could compare to. Su Fong actually planned to kill these two peerless figures together. How much confidence and courage did this require? His personality was like this. No matter who it was, as long as they stretched out their claws towards him, he would not hesitate to cut off the enemy's claws. If the other party was too strong, Su Fong might have been able to endure for a period of time. But this time, he couldn't drag this out any longer. Law's aura made Su Fong feel that a huge danger was approaching. He had to figure out what the danger was as soon as possible. Although Dao Venerable Divine Furnace and Dao Venerable Xianlin are powerful, if we plan well, it's not impossible. There's no need to ask Master to take action. After thinking for a long time, Su Fong revealed a determined expression. When it came to Law, Su Fong did not want to implicate immortal Venerable Jihong. After making up his mind, Su Fong tore through the air and headed straight for Haotsong Sky City. The enemy he was facing this time was too powerful. He had to make thorough preparations in advance. At the very least, he had to find out the strength of Dao Venerable Divine Furnace and Immortal Venerable Xianlin. Half a month later, Su Fong passed through the spatial array formation of Jihong Star and arrived at a piece of material outside the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu, who had been waiting here for a long time, welcomed him. Daozi, you are indeed trustworthy. I will bring you to the Sunluo desolate abyss now. Let's go, Su Fong said indifferently. Then he took out a bronze mask. As soon as the mask was put on his face, it immediately squirmed and merged with his face. It looked like there was an additional face on his face, giving off a cold and stiff feeling. This bronze mask was purchased by Su Fong in Haotian City, specially prepared for this trip to Sun Luo Desolate Abyss. The bronze mask was a Dao artifact of the highest grade. It could cover one's face and block the power of perception. Even high-level Dao realm experts could not see Su Fong's face clearly. Moreover, there was an extremely rare primordial spirit gem on the mask. After wearing the mask, it would have a powerful defensive ability of the divine aperture. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu asked in surprise, Daoist, what are you? I don't want to expose my identity to avoid unnecessary trouble, Su Fong said indifferently. Their goal in heading to the Sunluo Desolate Abyss this time was to kill Dao Venerable Divine Furnace and Immortal Venerable Xianlin. They were important figures of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Once they died, the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect would definitely do their best to investigate. How could Su Fong leave behind any clues? Daoist is truly wise, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu said respectfully. However, there was a trace of undetectable murderous intent in his eyes. He sneered in his heart. I was worried that the sect would investigate after I killed you. You actually took the initiative to cover your face. You're really courting death. After flying for a while, the two came to a huge object and left the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect through a space array. 3 days after the two left, deep in the Heaven's Mandate celestial land, an elder in a purple robe came out of the void. He had a profound aura. It was Dao Master Shenlu. It's really hard to do anything in the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. I didn't expect Xianlin to do me a big favor. What kind of supreme spirit treasure is the purple cloud Dharma spirit? What right does an insignificant ant have to have it? The purple cloud Dharma spirit will definitely be mine. With such a supreme spirit treasure, I'll break through my current cultivation level and step onto the peak. There's even hope of breaking through the peak and going to the end of the large world. Divine Cauldron Holy Master's eyes sparkled with excitement and anticipation. Then, his figure flickered and he disappeared into the void. Sunluo Wild Abyss equals N_R. Between the two planes of the immortal world at the edge of the central immortal domain was a shattered space created by the power of nature. It contained all kinds of mysterious forces of nature. The bottom of the Sunluo Wild Abyss was a bottomless abyss that immortals couldn't enter. There were dangers everywhere, and there were also powerful creatures called wild beasts. Even a sane immortal would have a slim chance of survival if they entered the abyss. Wild beasts lived in harsh environments and had very strong bodies. Their bones and hides could be used to refine magic treasures, and their spirit pearls could be used to refine pills. It could be said that their entire body was a treasure. Therefore, the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect used the Sunluo Wild Abyss as a training ground for their disciples. Large groups of disciples entered the Wild Abyss every day to train and cultivate. There were more than a dozen large worlds between the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect and the Sunluo Wild Abyss. Even a sane immortal would need more than 200 years to travel from the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect to the Sunluo Wild Abyss. To facilitate the training of their disciples, the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect created a space array. This way, it would only take a little more than 3 months. The Sunluo Wild Abyss. The huge abyss that stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles looked like a canyon between two mountain ranges. However, there was a shocking airflow that constantly swept through the abyss. It was as if there was a huge monster at the bottom of the abyss that was constantly absorbing all matter and energy in nature. Two figures appeared on a mountain range on one side of the Sunluo Wild Abyss. Both of them wore black robes that covered their entire bodies. They also wore cloaks on their heads, making it difficult to see their faces. Their auras were vague, making it even harder to determine their cultivation realms. Immediately, a Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect cultivator stationed here came forward and asked, "Which dojo's disciple are you from? Show your identity token immediately." Scram! The black-robed man waved his sleeve, and a shocking lightning-type, divine, might swept out. The Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect cultivator, who came forward to question him, was sent flying more than 100 feet away. He staggered when he landed on the ground, but he wasn't injured. There were more than 100 Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect cultivators stationed on the mountain range. When they saw the black-robed man's shocking strength, none of them dared to step forward. "Lord of Thundernight Island, don't expose your strength." A black-robed man transmitted his essence soul to the person who attacked. "Xianlin, why are you still so cautious when dealing with a junior at the Nine Dao Sane Immortal Realm? As long as you lure Su Fong out of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect, you can just directly kill him. Why is there a need to go through so much trouble?" The black-robed man who attacked just now was the Lord of Thundernight Island. As for the other black-robed man, he was Immortal Xianlin. In order to kill Su Fong, not only did Immortal Xianlin deliberately lure Su Fong into the Sunluo Wild Abyss, but he also invited a peerless powerhouse. Coincidentally, the powerhouse he invited was the Lord of Thundernight Island. Lord of Thundernight Island, don't underestimate Su Fong. Not only is he talented and has extraordinary strength, but he is also protected by the heavenly Tao. If you attack him, you will be punished by the heavens. Therefore, I lured him into a shattered space-time like the Sunluo Wild Abyss. Not only can I ensure that no news of this matter will be leaked, but I can also isolate the senses of the heavenly Tao and not be punished by the heavenly Tao. Heavenly punishment. The Lord of Thundernight Island wasn't afraid at all. The matter of Mo Wutian's master had long spread. Although many people were a little skeptical, no one dared to try it easily. Even a high-level Dao realm powerhouse was as insignificant as an ant in front of the punishment of the heavenly Tao. The Lord of Thundernight Island then spoke with a cold primordial spirit voice. "Xianlin, according to the previous agreement, after killing Su Fong, the treasures on his body will be divided equally between the two of us. The Shimming Lightning Archive must belong to me. If you go back on your word at that time, don't blame me for being ruthless. Immortal Xianlin replied, I am determined to obtain the blood jade on Su Fong. The other treasures are secondary. I'm also not interested in the Xianming lightning archive. Don't worry. Su Fong killed one of my clones. This time, it's a good time to settle the old score. Let's go. Su Fong and Xian Shu are almost here. In order to ensure that nothing goes wrong, let's go to the bottom of the abyss to make some arrangements first. The two of them directly entered the abyss and disappeared into the vortex. The cultivators of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect stationed in the Sunluo desolate abyss began to discuss. 2 days later, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu and Su Fong arrived outside the Sunluo desolate abyss. Xian Shu, are you planning to bring me into the Sunluo desolate abyss to train? Heavenly Lord Xian Shu had come to the Sunluo desolate abyss many times in the past to train and recognized one of the cultivators of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. As soon as he saw him, he immediately went forward to greet him. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu nodded and said, Yes. Be careful. 2 days ago, 2 peerless powerhouses entered the abyss. I don't know which faction they come from. Don't offend them. It's very simple to kill a few cultivators in the Sunluo desolate abyss. The cultivator reminded kindly. 2 powerhouses? Could it be that venerable Xianlin invited other powerhouses to help? Under the bronze mask, Su Fong's brows furrowed. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's expression changed. He was afraid that Su Fong would become suspicious, so he immediately said indifferently, In the past, powerhouses from other factions often entered the Sunluo desolate abyss to hunt for desolate beasts. What's so strange about 2 of them coming this time? As long as we don't take the initiative to provoke them, would they dare to attack the disciples of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect? Let's go. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly and flew out side by side with Heavenly Lord Xian Shu, entering the terrifying vortex of air. A cold and desolate aura came head-on. Shocking shackles seemed to stick to them. The air currents of the abyss carried the 2 of them all the way to the bottom, as if they were weightless. Along the way, Su Fong and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu also encountered some disciples of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect who had entered the Sunluo abyss to train. However, they were all wary of each other and didn't communicate much. With Su Fong and Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's cultivation at the 9th Dao realm, the air currents in the upper part of the abyss couldn't threaten them. They released their divine might to protect their bodies and allowed the air currents to carry them down quickly. About half a day later, they had descended to a shocking depth of about 1,000,000 feet. Although they could sense the natural spiritual energy of heaven and earth here, the power of nature had become very chaotic. The surroundings were filled with strange pressure, causing their aura and primordial spirit to be constantly stripped and crushed. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu seemed to be having a hard time. He used most of his strength to resist the strange and unpredictable natural divine might. Suddenly, swoosh, a black shadow shot out from the rock beside him. With a terrifying aura that could pierce through everything, it shot towards Heavenly Lord Xian Shu in a flash. =R download address. Phone reading. Bibliography. Chapter 1584. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu reacted quickly as well. He struck out a seal and formed a shield-shaped rock defense in front of him. Poof! The black shadow almost penetrated Lord of Heaven Xian Shu's defense and almost injured him. Then it retreated with a whoosh. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu took a closer look and saw a monster more than 10 feet long lying on a protruding rock. It looked like a lizard. The black shadow just now was its tongue. It was as fast and fierce as a flying sword. The monster's color was similar to the rock. Even its aura seemed to have fused with the rock. If one didn't sense it carefully, it would be hard to discover its existence. This is a dire beast. Although this dire beast was hidden very well, it couldn't escape Su Fong's perfected sensing ability. Naturally, he discovered early on. However, he didn't warn Lord of Heaven Xian Shu. Qi. Su Fong struck out a sword qi formed from the power of the yin-yang world. It hit the dire beast's head, and blood splattered. The dire beast's blood was gray, and its life force was very weak. Unexpectedly, the dire beast's head tilted, and the sword chi didn't penetrate its head. It only penetrated its hide. What a strong body! Su Fang's seemingly casual sword chi was formed from the power of the yin-yang world. It could even penetrate a middle-grade Dao artifact. Clearly, this dire beast's bones were harder than a middle-grade Dao artifact. The dire beast wasn't very intelligent. After it was injured, it didn't escape. Instead, its ferocity was aroused. It bared its ferocious fangs and pounced towards Su Fang. Chi! Just as it was about to pounce on Su Fang's right hand turned into a dragon claw. It carried a divine dragon aura and struck out with lightning speed. When the wild beast sensed Su Fang's divine dragon aura, an instinctive fear appeared in its eyes. It suddenly stopped in midair. Due to the sudden movement of stopping, the inertia caused its bones to shatter. The sound of bones breaking could be heard from within its body. It could be seen how fearful this wild beast was. The dragon claw slashed across and crushed the dire beast's head. Before it died, the dire beast didn't put up any resistance. This dire beast has thick skin and tough bones. However, it's not very intelligent and can't use any superpowers. It also doesn't have the same talent as the big goblin. My divine dragon aura can restrain it, so it's not much of a threat to me. Su Fang secretly heaved a sigh of relief. When facing a strong enemy, every detail had to be taken into consideration. And the Yama Abyss was the world of dire beasts. Su Fang naturally, he had to consider it. Taoist, of heaven Xian Abyss, and said, as a Tao, and no rush. Su Fang went directly to the rock where the dire beast was hiding. Suddenly, an unparalleled divine aura burst out and covered the surrounding space. It was as if he was the supreme ruler of this area. Then he stretched out his hand and made a grabbing motion. Rays of mystic light of different colors shot out from the rocks, the debris, the particles, and even the void, and landed in his palm. Taoist, what are you? Condense. Su Fang shouted coldly. Spiritual light shot out from his palms and condensed into a lifelike image. It turned out that Su Fang had used the Emperor's superpower of the tyrannical Emperor's heaven-conquering technique to control everything in this area. At the same time, he used the heavenly secret life shrinking technique to absorb all kinds of aura left in this area. Then, he deduced what had just happened here and condensed it into an image with his mind. In the image, figures kept flashing past. They were all disciples of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect who had entered the Senluo desolate abyss to train. It wasn't until two black-robed men flashed past the image that the image froze. He sensed the aura of these two people. Venerable Xianlin, there's another person. It's actually the aura of the heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor. No, it's the original body of the heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor, the Lord of Thunder Night Island. Venerable Xianlin really thinks highly of me. He actually invited the Lord of Thunder Night Island. Seeing this scene, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu was shocked and stunned. Then, he was scared out of his wits and went straight to the bottom of the Senluo desolate abyss. Can you escape? Su Fang released the divine might of his world and enveloped Heavenly Lord Xian Shu. The divine might of Su Fang's yin-yang world could already break through Death Flame's supreme divine power when the Taoists were fighting. At this moment, the world tree and the heaven and earth Tao palace had transformed once again. They could completely resist the divine might of a high-level Tao realm powerhouse. But how high was Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's cultivation realm? Under the divine might of Su Fang's yin-yang world, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu was shackled like a weak chicken and was then swept back. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's eyes were filled with shock and despair. You actually knew about Venerable Xuanlin's plan long ago. Su Fang sneered in disdain. You want to trick me, Su Fang? How laughable. I originally wanted to let you live a little longer, but you recklessly took the initiative to deliver yourself to me. Then, Don't blame me for being ruthless. You have nothing to regret. It won't be long before the two peerless powerhouses, Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island, accompany you to hell. You could be considered to have died a worthy death. You actually want to kill Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island? You're really arrogant and overestimating yourself. You won't be able to escape death in the end, huh? Knowing that he was definitely going to die, Heavenly Lord Xian Shu didn't have any scruples and laughed out loud. Su Fong sneered and said, "You even missed one. Other than Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island, there's also Tao Venerable Divine Furnace." Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's laughter stopped abruptly. He looked at Su Fong in disbelief. "How did you know? Is there a need for me to explain to you?" Su Fong flipped his palm, and a stream of black blood sprayed out, enveloping Heavenly Lord Xian Shu's body. The blood sizzled as it corroded and devoured. Heavenly Lord Xian Shu screamed a few times as his body was quickly fused with the blood. Even his young, immortal, and golden core were completely devoured. Whoosh, after the blood churned, it condensed into a black-robed man. His appearance was exactly the same as Su Fong's, but he exuded an evil aura. His eyes burned with dark red flames, like a demon from the endless abyss. This black-robed man was Gue Gue. All these years, Gue Gue had been constantly devouring the blood and life aura of powerhouses, big goblin, and gluttonous demons, especially the fire poison in the extinguishing earth. In addition, because he cultivated the Yellow Spring Blood Sea, he was no longer the true demon gluttonous ghost from back then. His appearance had also changed drastically, becoming very similar to Su Fong. After recalling Gue Gue back into his body, Su Fong pondered for a while and revealed a decisive and ruthless expression. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A stream of blood gushed out from his palm and quickly condensed into a blood and water doppelganger. Then, Su Fong created a rune with the divine life shrinking technique. After activating it, the divine power that could conceal the aura was added to the blood and water doppelganger. It looked empty and mysterious equals N_1. Wooling Goblin, come out. Su Fong released the Wooling Goblin. Wooling Goblin was an Earth-type demon. In order to help it improve, Su Fong found countless Earth-type spiritual items and even gave it some extinguishing earth. Previously, when Su Fong was cultivating in seclusion, the Wooling Goblin had also become a shifter emperor in one fell swoop. As Su Fong's strength improved, there were very few opportunities for the Wooling Goblin to use his ability. Now that it was released by Su Fong, the Wooling Goblin was very excited. "Master, what do you need me to do? Just tell me. Use your Earth-type ability to bring my original body to the bottom of the Yama abyss. There may be danger on the way. You have to be careful." Su Fong warned. "Master, you're underestimating me too much. I'm a shifter emperor now." Wooling Goblin smiled proudly, and then swallowed Su Fong into its stomach. Then it turned into a stone belt and slid along the mountain wall to the bottom of the abyss. Su Fong's blood clone waited for a long time in the same place, and then followed the abyss air flow into the depths of the Yama abyss. Millions of feet deep in the Yama abyss, the natural force became extremely chaotic here. It gathered a terrifying air flow, spiraling and flowing to form a huge, boundless whirlpool. In the center of the whirlpool, there was a black hole thousands of feet in size. It was so deep that you could see the bottom. It released a terrifying, devouring, and strangling force with a strange and eerie aura. It was like the mouth of a peerless, fierce beast that could swallow the world. It was said that the other side of the whirlpool could lead to the dark world. However, those who entered the whirlpool had never returned, including those immortal venerables. Around the whirlpool, there were countless debris floating. The big ones were thousands of miles long, and the small ones were as small as dust. They floated around the whirlpool like bubbles floating on the sea. At this time, there were countless wild beasts living on the ruins. Although these wild beasts didn't have much intelligence, their vitality was incomparably tenacious. Their bodies were also incomparably strong. They were completely different from the big goblin and fierce beasts in the outside world. Some people speculated that these wild beasts came from the dark world on the other side of the whirlpool. They might even be from the demonic realm. In the special environment of the Yama Abyss, after countless years of reproduction, they became what they were now. The place where the disciples of the heavens mandate how Tsong's sect trained was on these ruins, and the targets of the trial were these wild beasts. At this moment, on a huge ruin that was thousands of miles long, two black-robed men were sitting cross-legged hundreds of miles apart. Their auras were empty, and they had completely merged with the surrounding ruins. It was difficult to sense their existence. Xianlin, can that disciple of yours really lure Su Fong here? According to what I know, not only is Su Fong's talent astonishing, but he is also cunning. I'm afraid he won't be fooled easily. Lord of Thunder Knight Island, don't worry. My plan is flawless. It's impossible for Su Fong not to fall for it. On these ruins, I use the supreme Tao of array formations to guide the power of the whirlpool and the mysterious power of nature to create an incomparably powerful array formation. As long as Su Fong steps into the array formation, no matter how heaven-defying his strength is, he will only be suppressed. Immortal, venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Knight Island secretly communicated with each other through their essence souls, waiting confidently for Su Fong to walk into the trap. However, the two of them didn't expect or sense that a stone belt silently slid down from the mountain wall. Then it passed through the ruins and arrived at the ruins they were in. =_ our download address. Phone reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1585. Wooling Goblin's body was an earth element nature monster transformed from a mountain ridge. In addition, Su Fong activated the earth element divine might of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda that had advanced to a king-grade Dao artifact, coupled with the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, not to mention venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Knight Island. Even if the leader of the heavenly fate Hao Tsong sect was here, it would be very difficult for him to discover the Wooling Goblin and Su Fong hiding in the Wooling Goblin's body. Moreover, their attention was completely focused on the top of the Sunluo desolate abyss at this moment. They would never have thought that Su Fong had actually seen through venerable Xuanlin's trap long ago and even boldly lurked behind them, waiting for an opportunity to give them a fatal blow. A day later, a figure drifted along under the terrifying suction force of the abyss airflow and appeared above the bottom of the Sunluo desolate abyss. At a height of 10,000 feet from the vortex, he released a divine might and shakily broke free from the shackles. Then, he flew and landed on a fragment of the ruins. Su Fong, he's here. The Lord of Thunder Knight Island's spirit was lifted. Venerable Xuanlin's perception swept across the figure and couldn't help but be surprised. Strange, why don't I see Xianshu? Moreover, Su Fong's aura has become so ethereal that even I can't sense his depth. However, the strength he displayed is obviously much weaker equals in _1. After carefully sensing, Venerable Xianlin was relieved. This person's aura is indeed that of Su Fong. Perhaps he encountered some danger and was injured on the way, causing his strength to decrease greatly. Xianshu has most likely also died. No matter what the reason is, since he came to the Sunluo desolate abyss and entered the inescapable trap I set up, he's dead. Su Fong headed straight for the huge ruins here. His luck was surprisingly good along the way. He actually didn't encounter a single desolate beast. Then, he entered the array formation that Venerable Xianlin had created long ago without any warning. He's actually so careless in such a dangerous situation. He's really courting death. The so-called #1 genius of the great world is just an undeserved reputation. The Lord of Thunder Knight Island sneered disdainfully in his heart. Xianlin, why aren't you activating the array formation? The Lord of Thunder Knight Island shouted at Venerable Xianlin with his primordial spirit. Venerable Xianlin cultivated the great Tao and was proficient in all kinds of formations. This time, for the sake of killing Su Fong, he had created a formation with peerlessly formidable might on the ruins. Once it was activated, it was capable of drawing over the mysterious and unfathomable natural energy at the bottom of the abyss, as well as the terrifying shackles and devouring force of the vortex. The power of this formation was incomparably shocking. Even a peerless, immortal venerable of the high-level Tao realm would find it difficult to escape from the formation. Venerable Xianlin, also God. Venerable Xianlin, also Xianlin. Venerable Xianlin II. And Xianlin. Venerable Xianlin. Xianlin. Moreover, there was also immortal Venerable Xianlin. No matter how heaven-defying Su Feng's strength was, it would be difficult for him to escape this calamity. Venerable Xianlin formed a seal, and the array formation was immediately activated. The power of nature at the bottom of the Sunluo desolate abyss and the terrifying power of the vortex were activated by the array formation. They gathered into a monstrous energy torrent with a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. Like a roaring tsunami, they instantly swallowed Su Feng. Boom! The energy torrent that swept from all directions gathered in the center, colliding and forming a wind pillar that soared into the sky. The entire desolate abyss shook. The desolate beasts on the ruins were alarmed and let out strange roars. There were countless of them, causing Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island to tremble in fear. The Wuling Goblin, which had transformed into a stone belt, was also ruthlessly lifted up by the violent shock. Then, as the ruins fell, it was affected by the power of the array formation and also suffered some minor injuries. Fortunately, Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island didn't have the time to care about other things and didn't discover its existence. Su Feng's main body, which was inside the Wuling Goblin, was frightened by the power of the array formation. Although Venerable Xuanlin's strength is ordinary, the power of the array formation he created is actually so shocking. With such a terrifying array formation, even if Venerable Divine Furnace is in the array formation, he will be seriously injured even if he doesn't die. Due to the destruction of one of his blood clones, Su Feng's face turned pale. If it was just Venerable Xianlin alone, Su Feng could have directly crushed him. However, with the unexpected appearance of a peerless powerhouse like the Lord of Thunder Night Island, Su Feng had no choice but to use his brain. This blood clone that he stripped off was precisely to numb Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island, and then find an opportunity to give them a fatal blow. Losing a blood clone caused Su Feng to lose nearly 1/10 of his blood energy, but it was still within a bearable range equals in _1. Su Feng thought to himself, Venerable Divine Furnace will arrive soon. I must find a way to suppress Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island as soon as possible, especially Venerable Xianlin. I must find out the origin of the aura similar to Luo's from him, and his purpose in seizing the Blood Jade. The energy storm caused by the array formation's attack lasted for more than 10 breaths before gradually subsiding. In the center of the ruins, a huge pit with a radius of 100 miles appeared. The desolate beasts, rocks, and everything in this area were all turned into dust, and Su Feng was nowhere to be seen. Whoosh, Venerable Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island flew into the air and looked down. After sensing for a while, they could no longer sense Su Feng's aura. He was clearly deader than dead. Venerable Xianlin laughed proudly. So what if he's the #1 genius of the great world? Wasn't he still easily killed by me? The Lord of Thunder Night Island raised his brows. A wisp of lightning flashed in his deep eyes as he said, The power of the array formation is too great. Su Feng's corpse doesn't even exist. It will be a little troublesome to find the treasures on his body. Lord of Thunder Night Island, don't worry. Although Su Feng has turned into ashes under the power of the array formation, the Xianming Lightning Archive and the Blood Jade that I am determined to obtain are peerless treasures. They will definitely not be destroyed by the array formation. It will only take some time to find them. The Lord of Thunder Night Island nodded and said, That's right. Let me find the Xianming Lightning Archive first. It won't be too late for you to look for the Blood Jade. Venerable Xuanlin's face sank. Lord of Thunder Night Island, what do you mean by this? I am stronger than you. Not to mention having the priority to search for treasures, even if I take all the treasures on Su Fang's body for myself. Could it be that you still have any objections? As soon as his voice fell, lightning flickered on the body of the Lord of Thunder Night Island. A terrifying, lightning elemental divine might erupted. It was as if the god of thunder had descended to the great world. The surrounding ruins and even the void shattered layer by layer under this divine might. Lord of Thunder Night Island, you actually dare to go back on your word? Venerable Xianlin formed a seal to create an array formation, releasing a protective divine might to resist the terrifying pressure of the Lord of Thunder Night Island. Then he shouted coldly, "So what? On account that you are the sect master of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect, I won't make things difficult for you. If you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being ruthless." The Lord of Thunder Night Island said domineeringly. He formed a seal and struck out a bolt of lightning, swiftly and violently striking Venerable Xuanlin's array formation defense. Boom! The array formation only lasted for an instant before shattering with a loud bang. Venerable Xianlin was swept away by the impact of the explosion. He flew 10,000 feet away before stabilizing his body. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly became dispirited. When Su Fang saw this scene, he couldn't help but sneer in his heart. The strong preys on the weak. These peerless powerhouses are no exception. It's best if the two of them fight to the death and let me reap the benefits. The Lord of Thunder Night Island snorted. He took a step forward and transformed into a bolt of lightning. He instantly arrived above the huge pit in the center of the ruins and released his sensing power, carefully searching for Su Fang's treasures. The Lord of Thunder Night Island is actually so ruthless. Oomph. Do you really think that I don't have any backup plans just because I'm so confident in you? Venerable Xianlin revealed a ruthless expression and suddenly formed a seal. Chi! Chi! From the ruins and in the void, streaks of fine silk-like imprints appeared, covering an area of 10 miles around the master of Thunderous Night Island. The imprints quickly intertwined to form an aura-less bounded domain equals and underscore R. This kind of barrier wasn't used to attack or defend. Instead, it was used to shackle and trap the enemy. Although it wasn't as terrifying as the previous offensive array formation, it had a powerful shackling ability. Moreover, it was hidden very well, merging with the ruins and the void. If it wasn't for Venerable Xianlin activating it, it would be very difficult to discover it. Xianlin, you are courting death. The Lord of Thunder Night Island clearly didn't expect that Venerable Xianlin would actually create such a hidden array formation when he created the array formation previously. He was instantly surprised, but he was confident in his strength and didn't care much. You want to trap me with a mere array formation? Break for me. After the Lord of Thunder Night Island formed a seal, he rubbed his hands together. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. It quickly condensed into a shocking lightning spear that was 1,000 feet in size. With a violent aura that could destroy everything, it struck the array formation. Boom! This attack caused a huge explosion. The array formation shattered layer by layer, but it didn't collapse. Although my strength is ordinary, I cultivate the great Tao of array formations. In the great world, those who can reach my height in the great Tao of array formations are as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Although the array formation that I secretly created was a little hasty, how could it be easily broken by you? Venerable Xianlin was very proud. Then, he continued to form seals. White smoke appeared from the array formation and quickly enveloped the area covered by the array formation. The figure of the Lord of Thunder Night Island also disappeared into the smoke. Although the barrier you created is powerful, do you think it can trap me forever? When I find the treasures on Su Fang's body and walk out of the array formation, I will definitely take your life. The Lord of Thunder Night Island discovered that the smoke not only blocked vision, but also blocked the perception of the primordial spirit. However, it didn't have any other offensive or harmful abilities. He couldn't help but sneer disdainfully. Then, he ignored the array formation and searched for treasures in the deep pit. "Come out for me." The Lord of Thunder Night Island released a thunderous divine might. A layer of lightning quickly covered the entire pit, like flowing water. In this way, even a speck of dust couldn't escape his perception. Nothing? There isn't even a fragment of the treasure. Did he escape? How is this possible? The Lord of Thunder Night Island naturally couldn't find what he wanted. He couldn't help but be shocked. Once again, he covered it with his divine might and searched carefully. He found that there was a faint blood aura left after Su Fang's blood clone was destroyed. However, he couldn't even find a fragment of the treasure, let alone the Xianming Lightning Archive and other treasures. Could it be a clone? The Lord of Thunder Night Island guessed some clues, but he was puzzled. Many cultivators cultivated clones. There were even cultivators who specialized in the great Tao of cloning and could cultivate countless clones. Although the clones of cultivators originated from the main body, there was a big difference between the aura of the clone and the main body. Previously, the Lord of Thunder Night Island had sensed Su Fang's blood clone. Its aura was exactly the same as the main body he saw on the Destiny platform that day. It was just a little weaker. With the strength of the Lord of Thunder Night Island, he would never be wrong about this. Since it was a clone, how could its aura be exactly the same as the main body? =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1586. Immortal Blood Spirit. Su Fang actually created the Immortal Blood Spirit with the divine ability of the Yellow Spring Great Emperor back then. No wonder his clone's aura is exactly the same as his main body. He can even deceive me and Xianlin. Back then, the Yellow Spring Great Emperor was punished by the heavens precisely because he created the Immortal Blood Spirit and the Yellow Spring Undying Cycle of Reincarnation. Why isn't Su Fang afraid of attracting the heavens' punishment? The Lord of Thunder Night Island suddenly recalled the rumors about the Yellow Spring Great Emperor and immediately came to a realization. Then, he was once again puzzled. Su Fang's divine ability is simply unfathomable. If I capture him and obtain his secrets. Thinking of this, the eyes of the Lord of Thunder Night Island shone brightly. Just as the Lord of Thunder Night Island was having thoughts about Su Fang, the backup plan that Venerable Xianlin had long prepared moved once again. Outside the barrier, Venerable Xianlin took out an incense stick and flicked out a strand of Xianguang. It landed on the front of the incense stick and was immediately ignited, emitting a strange fragrance. Lord of Thunder Night Island, don't forget that the Senluo Desolate Abyss is the training ground of the disciples of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. I'm a local tyrant here. Since you dare to snatch the treasure that belongs to me, don't blame me for being ruthless. Venerable Xianlin suddenly laughed sinisterly. He threw out the incense stick in his hand, shuttled through the barrier, and landed on the ruins. In an instant, waves of roars came from the surrounding ruins. Countless roars gathered together, their momentum vast and earth-shattering. The Lord of Thunder Night Island looked outside in shock. What happened? Su Fang, who was hiding in the Wooling Goblin, was also shocked. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The desolate beasts seemed to have been stimulated by something as they rushed over crazily, directly charging into the barrier. Venerable Xianlin had clearly planned this a long time ago. The barrier he created couldn't be walked out from the inside, but one could enter from the outside. That incense stick was also extraordinary. After it was lit, it emitted a fragrance that was fatally enticing to desolate beasts. The Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect disciples specially used it to lure desolate beasts. For this trip to the desolate abyss, Immortal Exalt Xianlin specially asked the alchemy masters in the sect to meticulously refine one. Moreover, it was 100 times or even 10,000 times more powerful than the ones used by ordinary disciples. Once it was ignited, it immediately caused a commotion among the desolate beasts at the bottom of the abyss as they frantically rushed into the barrier. Some of the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect disciples who were training in the other ruins immediately met with misfortune. They were attacked by the wild beasts, and many of them died in an instant. The rest fled the ruins, fleeing towards the outside of the underworld abyss. The Wooling Goblin had transformed into a stone belt and was hidden in the ruins. It had been trampled by many desolate beasts and had sustained serious injuries. Fortunately, the target of these desolate beasts was the fragrance within the enchantment. Otherwise, the Wooling Goblin would have been exposed amidst the tide of desolate beasts. Among these desolate beasts, the smaller ones were the size of rats. They moved in groups, while the larger ones were the size of flood dragons that were 10,000 feet long. All of them had coarse skin and thick flesh. Their auras were extremely violent. In just a few breaths of time, the desolate beasts gathered into a surging tide and rushed into the enchantment like a flood. With the powerful strength of the Lord of Thunder Night Island, mere desolate beasts naturally couldn't pose a threat to him. He could casually release a divine power and kill a large number of them. However, there were simply too many desolate beasts. Moreover, each of their bodies was incomparably powerful. After being stimulated by the fragrance, they weren't afraid of death at all. There was an endless stream of desolate beasts. After killing one wave, another wave surged over. No matter how powerful the Lord of Thunder Night Island was, his consumption of energy was still incomparably astonishing when facing the tide of desolate beasts. When you've exhausted most of your energy, it will be time for me to take your head. Although Immortal Exalt Xianlin couldn't see the scene inside the enchantment due to the smoke, he could guess from the earth-shattering explosions that the Lord of Thunder Night Island was currently experiencing a fierce battle. Immortal Exalt Xianlin was very pleased. He couldn't help but laugh sinisterly. The opportunity has come. It's time to kill Immortal Exalt Xianlin. Su Fong saw the scene outside the Wooling Goblin's body. He no longer hesitated and decided to attack Immortal Exalt Xianlin. If it weren't for the fact that Dao Venerable Divine Furnace was about to arrive, Su Fong could have waited until Immortal Exalt Xianlin and the Lord of Thunder Night Island were both injured before reaping the benefits. Dao Venerable Divine Furnace was incomparably powerful. Su Fong couldn't wait any longer. He had to suppress Immortal Exalt Xianlin, this key figure, first. Su Fong circulated his dragon energy and released the might of a divine dragon from the Wooling Goblin's body. A python-like desolate beast that was more than 100 feet long happened to pass by the Wooling Goblin. When it sensed the might of the divine dragon, its body immediately went limp and it didn't dare to move at all. The Wooling Goblin spat out Su Fong and was then sucked into the true dragon realm by Su Fong. As for Su Fong, he jumped onto the back of the python desolate beast. At this moment, the bottom of the abyss was in chaos. There were desolate beasts everywhere. Immortal Exalt Xianlin, who was standing in the air, was completely focused on the Lord of Thunder Night Island in the barrier. He naturally didn't notice Su Fong's actions. Su Fong first released Bai Ling. At the bottom of the abyss, the power of nature was incomparably chaotic, but Bai Ling was like a fish in water here. With a flash of white, his figure drew a strange arc and disappeared into the void. Go over. Su Fong peeled off a strand of his consciousness and entered the mind of the python desolate beast. A majestic voice sounded. The python desolate beast was intimidated by the might of the divine dragon. How could it dare to resist Su Fong's will in the slightest? Under Su Fong's control, it rushed crazily towards Immortal Exalt Xianlin. The python desolate beast mixed in with countless desolate beasts and quickly approached Immortal Exalt Xianlin. Immortal Exalt Xianlin was looking at the interior of the barrier, thinking about what reward he would receive from the deity from the myriad worlds after obtaining the 2 blood jades from Su Fong. A white figure suddenly appeared beside Immortal Exalt Xianlin. It was Bai Ling. After Bai Ling, who was like a young girl, smiled coldly, he flicked his finger. A ring in his hand suddenly shot towards Immortal Exalt Xianlin. The ring suddenly transformed into a black circle that was more than 100 feet in size. With a sweeping momentum, it fiercely collided with Immortal Exalt Xianlin. Who are you? How dare you attack me? Demonic energy, you're a big goblin. Immortal Exalt Xianlin was shocked. Fortunately, In order to prevent being attacked by the desolate beasts, he created an array formation to protect himself. Under the fierce collision of Bai Ling's chaos ring, the array formation instantly shattered. However, it also blocked the attack of the chaos ring. Why did such a powerful big goblin suddenly appear in the Sunluo desolate abyss and activate such a powerful Dao artifact? Immortal Exalt Xianlin was shocked. Swish! At this moment, Su Fong activated his sword pill and instantly shuttled through the void from the ground, appearing below Immortal Exalt Xianlin. Su Fong, you actually didn't die? How is this possible? So the one I killed just now was a clone of yours. The divine light in Immortal Exalt Xuanlin's eyes instantly changed, flashing with disbelief. This person was indeed worthy of being the sovereign of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Although he was incomparably shocked in his heart, his hands didn't slow down in the slightest. In a flash, he quickly formed seals one after another. The aura of the cycle of the great Dao exploded. Seals that contained the nomological powers of the heavenly Dao interweaved into an array formation that tightly protected the surroundings. Chi! 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 The sword pill shot out silver threads of sword energy that swept towards the array formation. Unexpectedly, the power of the array formation swept out one Xian Guang after another. The aura of the endless cycle of the great Dao twisted the silver threads of sword energy into pieces. Bai Ling activated the Chaos Ring and attacked the array formation fiercely again and again. Although the array formation shattered layer by layer, it wouldn't shatter for a while. He actually cultivated the great Dao of array formations to such an extent. This Immortal Exalt Xianlin is indeed not an ordinary person. Natal state. Su Fong planned to end the battle and directly enter his natal state. Through the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, he fused the true qi and demonic energy of the big goblin in his body into his flesh and blood. Then, with a domineering punch, he struck the defensive array formation with a terrifying aura that could destroy everything. Boom! The array formation shook violently. The seals collapsed layer by layer. The array formation was about to be broken. What astonishing strength! Immortal Exalt Xianlin was shocked. If this punch landed on his body, with his mid-stage Dao realm cultivation base, he would be blasted into meat paste. A mere saint immortal realm and dares to be arrogant in front of me. Immortal Exalt Xianlin took out a stone plate in the shape of a plate. After activating it, it released seals that carried the aura of the great Dao and quickly condensed into a defensive barrier around him. The barrier created with a Dao artifact, as the core of the array formation, was more than 10 times stronger than the array formation created with his hand seals. Su Fong continuously bombarded the array formation, while Bai Ling also activated the Chaos Ring and fiercely collided with the array formation. However, the array formation around Immortal Exalt Xianlin was as stable as a rock and couldn't be shaken for a while. Su Fong, even though you're full of tricks and were lucky enough to escape the trap I set for you, but you recklessly tried to launch a sneak attack on me. You've really overestimated yourself. Hand over your life. Immortal Exalt Xianlin had a chance to catch his breath. He began to form seals and prepared to use his divine power to counterattack. Do you think I can't do anything to you just because you hid in the array formation? Su Fong sneered in disdain. Swoosh! A stream of black blood spurted out from Su Fong's palm. Then it turned into a blood ribbon and nimbly drilled into the array formation like a snake. It cleverly avoided the seals and appeared in front of Immortal Exalt Xianlin. The blood ribbon rolled and quickly condensed into a black-robed person. It was Gue Gue. She had used the ability of the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. Although Immortal Exalt Xuanlin's barrier was powerful, it was useless against Gue Gue. Immortal Exalt Xianlin was shocked. He exclaimed, Yellow Spring Blood Sea? What kind of monster is this? It can actually use the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. Pooh! Gue Gue opened her mouth and spat out a black poison. It burned into flames and pounced straight at Immortal Exalt Xianlin. demonic poison and fire poison. Immortal exalts Xianlin, sense the poison in the poisonous fire. His expression instantly changed drastically. He hurriedly stopped the divine power that he had yet to release and erupted with an aura to block Gui's terrifying poison. Sizzle. Immortal exalt Xuanlin's aura was rapidly corroded layer by layer, followed by his aura. Outside the array formation, Su Fong activated the purple cloud Dharma spirit, erupting with a supreme divine might that could control all magic treasures, enveloping the entire array formation. Buzz, 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 the stone plate that immortal exalt Xianlin used to create the array formation trembled violently under the supreme divine might of the purple cloud Dharma spirit. How could it still release any divine might? The barrier created with the stone plate as the array core instantly disappeared. Su Fong struck out with a wave of purple energy that wrapped around the stone plate and directly absorbed it into the purple energy space in the depths of his body. At this moment, Bai Ling activated the Chaos Ring and slammed it into the back of Immortal Exalt Xuanlin's head. The aura field instantly shattered, and a huge impact rushed into his divine aperture C, causing his divine aperture and young immortal to tremble violently. He felt dizzy and almost lost consciousness. Guege pounced forward swiftly and opened her bloody mouth, about to swallow Immortal Exalt Xianlin into her stomach. Wait! Su Fong hurriedly stopped Gue. Then, he activated the supreme divine power of the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, the lightning of destiny. An ethereal aura that could erase everything related to destiny enveloped Immortal Exalt Xianlin. Punishment of the heavens. Attacking you actually caused me to be punished by the heavenly Tao. Immortal Exalt Xianlin exclaimed in disbelief. =our download address. Reading on mobile phone, bibliography. Chapter 1587. Novels Chapter 1610. Divine Tribulation Tao, Venerable Divine Furnace, appears Venerable Xianlin sensed the ethereal power of destiny that wanted to completely erase his physical body, primordial spirit, and everything related to his destiny. In addition, he had a preconceived notion in his heart and naturally thought that the lightning of destiny was the so-called punishment of the heavens. Shocked and terrified, he no longer had the will to fight and gave up resisting. Qi Xiao Xiao, open your divine aperture, primordial spirit, and golden core, and accept my shackles. Su Fong spoke domineeringly, like the voice of the heavenly Tao. As long as Venerable Xianlin resisted slightly, he would be directly killed. I actually fell into the hands of a sane immortal realm cultivator. I'm so unwilling. Venerable Xianlin closed his eyes in despair. He opened his divine aperture's defenses and gave up resisting. Su Fong used the true demon blood plate to create layers of primordial spirit seal seeds and sent them into the depths of Venerable Xuanlin's young immortal, shackling his primordial spirit. At the same time, he used the power of the yin-yang world to condense a seal seed and shackle his golden core. Venerable Xianlin was very important to Su Fong. After shackling his primordial spirit and golden core, Su Fong was still worried. He asked the undead lord to activate the sky, shrouding nether coffin, and shackle Venerable Xianlin into the Tao artifact world. This way, no matter how capable Venerable Xianlin was, he wouldn't be able to cause much trouble. Finally suppressing Venerable Xianlin, Su Fong heaved a long sigh of relief. A huge rock in his heart was lifted. Lord of Thunder Night Island, when your strength is almost exhausted, I will deal with you again. Looking at the barrier of the ruins, the Lord of Thunder Night Island was still fighting with the desolate beasts. Su Fong sneered and sent Gue and Bai Ling into the True Dragon realm. He also peeled off a young immortal and entered the sky, shrouding Nether Coffin. In the Tao artifact world of the sky, shrouding Nether Coffin. In a lifeless array formation, Venerable Xianlin was shackled inside. Su Fong's young immortal walked out from the side of the array formation and said majestically, Venerable Xianlin, you tried all means to kill me and snatch my blood jade, But you didn't expect me to suppress you, right? Now that I've fallen into your hands, what else can I say? You have 2 pieces of blood jade. Even if I can't get them, the blood jade will bring you a fatal disaster. Immortal Venerable Xianlin was indeed worthy of being a peerless Immortal Venerable at the middle stage of the Tao realm. At this moment, he had already recovered from his fear and displayed the aura of the Immortal Venerable of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. Su Fong asked, "Who asked you to look for the blood jade?" Venerable Xianlin sneered and said, "If I tell you, will you let me go? Since I'm going to die anyway, why should I tell you the truth? You're acting so tough because you want to bargain with me to save your life. Even if you don't tell me, I can still find out what I want to know. Are you planning to search my soul and strip my memories? You're only at the sane immortal realm, yet your soul core is dreaming of performing a soul search on a mid-stage Tao realm expert like me? So what if you're a mid-stage Tao realm powerhouse?" Su Fong sneered in disdain. If his second essence soul was here, even a high-level Tao realm powerhouse could easily search his soul. It would even be easy for him to control Immortal Venerable Xuanlin's thoughts and consciousness. At this moment, although his second essence soul wasn't by his side, Su Fong still had a way to strip Immortal Venerable Xuanlin's memories. Swoosh! Su Fong waved his hand. The heavenly demon blood plate appeared above Immortal Venerable Xuanlin's head, releasing a black demonic light. A powerful essence, soul divine, might enveloped him. Then, the undead lord shuttled through the array formation and arrived beside Su Fong. Immortal Venerable Xianlin raised his brows. Heavenly demon blood plate? A resurrected cultivator. Su Fong, you are the Taoist of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. You can actually activate a demonic artifact and even take in a resurrected cultivator as your subordinate. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the sect's laws? Su Fong sneered and said, as the sect master of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect, you want to kill me, the Taoist of the sect. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the sect's laws? If you tell me what I want to know honestly, I can spare your life. Otherwise, I will use the Heavenly Demon blood plate to torture your essence soul. When your essence soul is weak to the extreme, I can easily strip away your memories. Then, I will let my resurrected subordinates turn you into a walking corpse. After a moment of silence, Immortal Venerable Xianlin was like a deflated ball. He said dejectedly, "Ask away. As long as I know, I will tell you everything." Su Fong took out a rune talisman that was sealed with a blood energy that was very similar to Law's. He shouted, "Who asked you to look for the blood jade? Where did this aura in the rune talisman come from?" "It's an unparalleled expert from the myriad worlds. That blood chi was transmitted to me by him using an unparalleled divine ability." Immortal Venerable Xianlin knew that he couldn't hide it anymore, so he explained the whole story in detail. A supreme powerhouse from the myriad worlds. Hearing Immortal Venerable Xuanlin's description, Su Fong gasped. Su Fong could almost conclude that the powerhouse described by Immortal Venerable Xianlin was from the same race as Law. Law had once talked about his race by chance, and his tone was filled with hatred. Although Law didn't say it explicitly, Su Fong guessed from his tone and the fact that he was sealed in the supreme treasure of his race that Law was sealed by his race and not some enemy. The purpose of this powerhouse from the same race who was searching for the blood jade in the great world was definitely not to save Law. Instead, it was to gather all the blood jade and seal Law again. When he accepted the title of the Heavenly Tao, Su Fong had experienced the terror of the deities of the myriad worlds. Even if he used all his divine abilities, he was still like an ant in front of a deity. If it weren't for Law sacrificing himself and coincidentally encountering the change in the world, Su Fong definitely wouldn't have been able to escape the fate of being suppressed. The god known as the Mizar God Monarch had only sent down a phantom of his will. And at this moment, the deity who was searching for the blood jade had descended to the great world with his true body. How terrifying was his strength! In the great world, this person was definitely a supreme existence. Perhaps even the supreme elder of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect, a peerless figure at the demigod realm, wasn't his match. Su Fong had 2 blood jades in his hands that had already been fused by law. That deity definitely wouldn't let him off. How should he deal with such a powerful enemy? For a moment, Su Fong felt as if 1,000 kilograms of weight was pressing down on his body, making him unable to breathe. At the same time, he was worried about Law's fate. What should I do? What should I do? Although Su Fong's Tao heart was tenacious, his heart was also in a mess at this moment. Letting out a long breath, Su Fong forced himself to calm down. No matter what, I can't give up on the blood jade. Moreover, I have to find the other blood jades and let Law walk out of the blood-colored cage with Su Fong. The deity who is searching for the blood jade has gone to the demon realm. He won't come to the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect for the time being. I still have time to prepare. In the great world, the strength of deities will be limited and shackled. They aren't invincible. Back then, when I was in the small world, didn't I also kill an immortal? Now that I'm in the great world, can I kill a deity? Moreover, that deity is also searching for the blood jade. With his strength, his speed of searching for the blood jade will definitely far surpass mine. If I kill him, I can easily obtain the other blood jades. Thinking of this, Su Fong gradually pulled himself together. The pressure on his body and the worry in his heart instantly disappeared. A domineering and arrogant aura of if the heavens want to suppress me, I will definitely defy the heavens arose spontaneously. You actually want to fight against the deity. From Su Fong's aura, Venerable Xianlin guessed Su Fong's thoughts and couldn't help but be dumbfounded. In the hearts of the immortals of the great world, deities were existences similar to the heavenly Tao, especially the cultivators of the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. Some big shots and higher-ups actually knew very well that the so-called heavenly Tao that they respected was actually a powerful force in the divine realm called the heaven-sealing divine Tao. It wasn't the true heavenly Tao. However, this didn't affect their reverence for the heaven-sealing divine Tao. They treated the heaven-sealing divine Tao as the true heavenly Tao to submit and revere. They absolutely didn't dare to resist in the slightest. Although Su Fong, this holy immortal cultivator, was very extraordinary, he was nothing compared to the entire heavenly mandate Haotsong sect. He actually wanted to fight against a deity that even the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect respected incomparably. In Venerable Xuanlin's eyes, how shocking was this? Su Fong revealed a towering, domineering aura and said in a loud voice, "If I don't even have the courage to resist, what kind of cultivator am I? I, Su Fong, have walked all the way from the small world to now. Didn't I constantly resist to achieve my current achievements? So what if you're a deity? Even if it's the true heavenly Tao, if it wants to suppress me, even if I know that I will die, as long as I still have a breath left, I will definitely resist to the end." Venerable Xianlin fell into intense shock. In his eyes, Su Fong was simply a lunatic who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. At this moment, boom! An earth-shattering commotion came from outside the True Dragon Realm, causing the True Dragon Realm to shake violently. The array formation that was already somewhat broken shattered once again. It turned out that after killing countless desolate beasts, the Lord of Thunder Night Island had no choice but to erupt with all his strength to shatter the barrier that trapped him and escape. After fighting with the desolate beasts and breaking the array formation with all his might, the Lord of Thunder Night Island had exhausted nearly all of his strength. At this moment, his aura became a little chaotic, and he was filled with anger. Su Fong's young immortal immediately returned to his original body, preparing to fly out of the True Dragon Realm and get rid of the Lord of Thunder Night Island in one fell swoop. Unexpectedly, the Lord of Thunder Night Island swept his eyes with a divine light and didn't find any trace of Venerable Xianlin. He let out a thunderous roar. "Xianlin, you actually dare to join forces with Su Fong and set a trap with one of Su Fong's clones, wanting to kill me. I will remember this grudge and will definitely return it tenfold in the future." As soon as his voice fell, thunder rumbled beside the Lord of Thunder Night Island. Like a bolt of lightning, he flew towards the upper part of the Sinluo desolate abyss. It turned out that the Lord of Thundernight Island didn't find Su Fong's treasure and mistakenly thought that venerable Xianlin and Su Fong had joined forces to kill him. At this moment, he had exhausted quite a bit of his strength, and venerable Xianlin had disappeared without a trace. He was afraid that there would be another trap waiting for him, so he directly left the Sinluo desolate abyss. Suddenly, an earth-shattering bang came from above. The figure of the Lord of Thundernight Island fell from above like a huge rock. After landing on the ruins, he smashed a huge pit in the incomparably hard ruins. At the next moment, a purple-robed old man with a supreme aura walked over step by step from above, taming the surrounding terrifying abyssal airflow and chaotic power of nature. Thou venerable divine furnace. Divine furnace, why did you sneak attack me? After spitting out a mouthful of blood, the Lord of Thundernight Island stood up shakily from the ground. His aura became even more dispirited. His lightning robe was filled with holes from being burned by the flames. Moreover, there were many wounds on his body that were burned by the power of fire. He actually looked like he was seriously injured. Lord of Thundernight Island, hand over Su Fong, and I will let you die a quicker death, thou venerable divine furnace said indifferently. Divine Cauldron said emotionlessly. He stood above the ruins with his hands behind his back like a supreme being who ruled over the world. The Lord of Thundernight Island suppressed the anger in his heart. Su Fong? He colluded with Xianlin to set a trap and almost killed me. How would I know where he is? Equals _ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1588. Holy Man Divine Cauldron has appeared at this time. In the True Dragon realm, Su Fong raised his eyebrows and dismissed the idea of flying out of the True Dragon realm. He activated the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique and concealed the True Dragon realm that had turned into a speck of dust. In this way, the Divine Cauldron Holy Man would not be able to sense the existence of the True Dragon realm. AP Holy Cauldron Holy Master's cultivation had reached the high level of the Tao realm, and he was also a top treasure refining grandmaster in the macro world. He definitely had a peerless Taoist weapon. With such a peerless master and the master of Thunderbolt Island, Su Fong was definitely no match for them. Of course, although Su Fong was a little nervous, he was not afraid in the face of such a powerful enemy like Divine Furnace Holy Man. He had the Hunyuan Sacred Mirror as his trump card. Besides, even if he could not defeat Divine Furnace Holy Man, he still had the Xianyue demon-subduing token given by the Xianyue demon sage. It could help him break through the shackles of the divine powers of an expert at the pinnacle of the Tao realm. It's best if both sides are injured, and then I can kill both of them in one fell swoop. Su Fong revealed a ruthless expression. He was quietly observing the changes in the True Dragon realm, waiting for an opportunity. Hearing the words of the Master of Thunderous Night Island, the Holy Man Divine Cauldron was astonished. There is actually such a thing? Xianlin colluded with Su Fong? Where did they go? The Master of Thunderbolt Island answered honestly. Perhaps the two of them have already left the universal wild abyss. Thou venerable divine furnace's divine light swept past the ruins, but he didn't discover the auras of immortal venerable Xianlin and Su Fong. He couldn't help but raise his brows. I've been guarding the outside of the Sinluo desolate abyss and haven't found any traces of them. The two of them must still be at the bottom of this abyss. Divine Furnace, I have no enmity with you. Now that you have appeared in the universal desolate abyss and ambushed me, are you here to save Su Fong? The Master of Thunderbolt Island asked in a deep voice. Save Su Fong? On the contrary, not only did I not come here to save him, I came here to kill him. Are you also here to kill Su Fong? I won't interfere in your affairs, and I won't fuss about your sneak attack on me just now. Farewell. The Master of Thunderbolt Island cupped his fists at Holy Man Divine Furnace and spoke politely. However, his heart sank. Since Holy Man Divine Furnace had revealed the purpose of this trip, he would not let him off easily. Divine Cauldron Holy Master sneered. Su Fong is only a nominal Taoist in the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect, but he was conferred the title by the sect. As the first elder, You should know the consequences of killing a Taoist of the sect, right? The master of Thunder Night Island gritted his teeth and said, I'm willing to make a vow that I won't reveal anything to anyone. Divine Cauldron Holy Man said, Master of Thunder Night Island, do you think I am a 3-year-old child? Dead people are still the safest option. I've cultivated for tens of millions of years, so I'm very clear on this principle. The Master of Thunderbolt Island shouted angrily, Divine Furnace, don't go too far. I'm not a pushover. At most, I'll fight to the death. If you were at your peak, I would have to be wary of you and would not be able to do anything to you. First, you've expended a lot of your strength. Then, you were ambushed by me. Now that you're in a severely injured state, what right do you have to fight to the death with me? Your fish will die, but my net will never be broken. Divine Cauldron Holy Man said domineeringly and took out a Tao artifact. It was a green cauldron that emitted a deep and mysterious aura. However, there were obvious cracks on the cauldron. It was obviously a flawed cauldron. After the cauldron was activated, the mouth of the cauldron faced downwards and released a shocking fire elemental divine aura that was filled with divinity. It shrouded the huge ruins where the Master of Thunder Night Island was. A terrifying aura that could incinerate and refine heaven and earth burst out from the cauldron. Purple flames burned in the void and the ruins. The blazing flames were 10,000 times more terrifying than magma. The entire space turned into a furnace world that was about to refine everything within its range. Sizzle, the hard rocks melted in a split second. Countless wild beasts on the ruins howled in pain. Their bodies emitted black smoke equals N_R. The wild beast corpses that had been killed by the Master of Thunder Night Island were instantly charred and emitted a foul smell. Divine Artifact, Divine Cauldron. You actually have a divine level cauldron. The Master of Thunder Night Island's divine aura changed instantly as he exclaimed. Divine Cauldron Holy Man was not only called Divine Cauldron because of his unparalleled skill in refining treasures, but there was another reason. It was said that he had a divine level cauldron, which was why he was called Divine Cauldron. However, he had never displayed it in front of anyone. Divine Artifact? Su Fangdao was shocked. With his perfect vision, he used the divine aura of the true Long World's magic treasure to carefully observe the cauldron. So it's a broken divine artifact. It's better than the Xianming Thunder Archive, but it's far inferior to the Origin Sacred Mirror. Although Su Fang secretly heaved a sigh of relief, he was a little anxious. Under the divine aura of the divine level cauldron, the true Long World would not be able to hold on for long. So it's just a broken divine artifact. The Master of Thunder Night Island also saw the flaws of the divine level cauldron and sneered disdainfully. Divine Cauldron Holy Man said proudly, This divine artifact was originally a supreme, divine-level cauldron of the myriad worlds. It was destroyed by a peerless demonic monkey and turned into fragments that drifted to the outside world. I was fortunate enough to obtain most of the fragments. After countless years of refining, I regained the power of a divine artifact. Although its power is less than 1/10 of its original power, it's still a divine artifact. Isn't it easy to suppress you? So what if it's a divine artifact? If you want to suppress me, you'll have to pay a heavy price. The Master of Thunder Night Island let out a thunderous roar. After forming the seal, thunder rumbled and a monstrous lightning swept out. It quickly condensed into a lifelike thunder dragon. Its divine aura shrouded the Master of Thunder Night Island. After a swing of its tail, it broke the divine aura shackles of the divine cauldron and violently charged towards divine cauldron Holy Man Divine. Cauldron Holy Man activated the divine cauldron, and a torrential flood of purple flames surged towards the Master of Thunder Night Island. Boom, boom, boom. Fire and thunder were extremely violent energies in nature. The successive collisions caused a violent tremor and caused the abyss air vortex below to roar and tumble. The entire bottom of the Sun Luo abyss was plunged into a violent and chaotic energy wave. The surrounding mountains had been eroded by the abyss air vortex for countless years and had become extremely sturdy. At this moment, under the impact of the collisions, the mountains shook and the rocks rumbled. After a series of collisions, the thunder dragon formed by the master of Thunder Night Island's Abijna was shattered and his body was revealed. He landed on the ruins again, and his aura became weaker. Divine Cauldron Holy Man's face turned pale, and the god-level cauldron's light dimmed. Divine Cauldron Holy Man could not withstand the desperate attacks of the master of Thunderbolt Island. You want to suppress me with a broken Divine Cauldron? Divine Cauldron, if you don't move away now, both of us will suffer. The master of Thunder Night Island sneered disdainfully. A lightning rod, surging with lightning, appeared in his palm. He held the rod with both hands and strode forward. Along the way, he broke and tore the void. He was like a peerless thunder god, descending into the great world. You think you are qualified to fight with me? Not only you, even Xianlin and Su Fong who are hiding cannot escape from my suppression. I am the Divine Cauldron, smelt the heaven and earth. Divine Cauldron Holy Man kept the Divine Cauldron in his body. Then, a surge of the Divine Cauldron of the world burst out. In a split second equals N_R. Divine power shrouded all directions and turned into a huge purple cauldron. It enveloped the master of Thunder Night Island and the Jinlong world in the divine power of the Divine Cauldron Holy Man's world. It felt like the divine power of the Divine Cauldron Holy Man's world was like a universe with its own independent rules of operation. The matter, the power of nature, and the rules of the universe were all refined into nothingness. The bodies of the struggling wild beasts and the corpses on the ground were instantly turned into green smoke. The rocks on the ground were melted into lava, and the entire space became a terrifying furnace. At this point, the master of Thunder Night Island had no choice but to fight with all his might. He used all his strength to create a world of thunder and lightning around him to resist the suppression of the divine power of the Divine Cauldron Holy Man's world. If the master of Thunder Night Island was in his peak state, he could naturally resist the Divine Cauldron Holy Man and escape easily. However, he was severely injured now. His world of thunder and lightning was constantly suppressed by the Divine Cauldron Holy Man's Abijna. Layer by layer, it shattered and collapsed. It could not hold on for long. The Divine Cauldron Holy Man merged himself with the Divine Cauldron Holy Man and used his Abijna. Its power was terrifying. Whoosh! Su Fong flew out of the Jinlong realm. He had no choice but to do so. If he did not come out, the Jinlong realm would be melted. Su Fong, you are still in the desolate abyss. Give me the purple cloud's Dharma spirit, and I will let you die painlessly. The Divine Cauldron Holy Man was overjoyed. He then laughed proudly. You want to steal my purple cloud's Dharma spirit? Why don't you take it yourself? Su Fong laughed coldly. The Divine Cauldron Holy Man laughed disdainfully and said, I know you have many extraordinary Abijna and Dao weapons. Even the demon Saint Ming Yen was defeated by you. However, you are now shackled by my Abijna. Sooner or later, you will be refined into ashes. The purple cloud's Dharma spirit will also be mine. Boom! Su Fong activated the world tree and released the power of the world of yin and yang. It kept wearing down the shackles and refining power that shrouded his body. Su Fong, activate the Xianming Thunder Scroll and help me. Let's break the Divine Cauldron Holy Man's Abijna and fight our way out of the desolate abyss. The master of Thunder Night Island was like a drowning man who had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. He roared at Su Fong. Su Fong sneered. You just wanted to kill me. Now you want me to help you? Foolish brat. If I am suppressed, you will not be able to escape death either. The master of Thunder Night Island roared angrily. However, Su Fong ignored him. Boom! Boom! The Divine Cauldron Holy Man kept activating his power. The purple flames burned into a sea of fire and surged toward the master of Thunder Night Island and Su Fong. His main target was the master of Thunder Night Island. In the Divine Cauldron Holy Man's opinion, as long as he suppressed the master of Thunder Night Island, it would be easy to kill Su Fong. The world that the master of Thunder Night Island had created shattered layer by layer. In the end, it collapsed with a loud bang. His physical body was engulfed by the purple flames, and he began to burn. He let out miserable shrieks. Equals underscore our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1589. I have dominated the macro world for millions of years. I did not expect to die in a Yama desolate abyss. I am not reconciled. The Lord of Thunderbolt Island let out a desperate and angry roar. His burning body suddenly soared into the sky. Lord of Thunderbolt Island, what can you do even if you are not reconciled? It is a worthy death to die under my divine artifact. Ha! Holy Cauldron, holy man laughed wildly and struck out a seal. A ball of flame exploded and swept toward the Lord of Thunderbolt Island. The body of the Lord of Thunderbolt Island suddenly exploded into balls of flame and burned into ashes. His golden elixir was also wrapped in a ball of purple flame and fell into the magma formed by the molten rocks. The Lord of Thunderbolt Island, a peerless master of the 10,000 waves immortal sea who shocked the macro world, died just like that. Whoosh Su Fong suddenly activated the power of the yin-yang world to the extreme. His strength turned into a world of his own to contend with the power of the divine cauldron Holy Man's Tao artifact and Abhijna. He shook off the surrounding flames and stepped forward. He grabbed the golden elixir of the Lord of Thunderbolt Island and kept it in his inner world. The Lord of Thunderbolt Island was a peerless master of the advanced Tao realm. How powerful was the power contained in his golden elixir? Naturally, Su Fong would not miss out on such cultivation resources equals N_R. You are about to die, but you still want the golden elixir of the Lord of Thunderbolt Island. You are really reckless. Holy Cauldron, holy man, suppressed the Lord of Thunderbolt Island and felt relieved. Seeing Su Fong trying to snatch the golden elixir of the Lord of Thunderbolt Island, Holy Cauldron, holy man was surprised and then sneered sarcastically. Swoosh! Swoosh! Holy Cauldron, holy man activated the power of the divine artifact with all his strength. Purple flames ignited around Su Fong and were about to burn Su Fong into ashes. Swoosh! Su Fong's physical body suddenly shattered and turned into a roaring sea of blood. In the state of the underworld blood sea, Su Fong activated the illusory fire cloud. White flames spurted out from the blood water, quickly forming a burning momentum, turning into a shocking cloud of fire that burned fiercely in the blood sea. He no longer resisted the purple flames of divine cauldron holy man. Instead, he urged the blood sea of Nether to release the astonishing power of reincarnation and the power of the world of yin and yang. It disintegrated and suppressed the power of the purple flames. Then, it devoured them wantonly, causing the sea of fire formed by the fire cloud imperial body to merge with the purple flames. He actually grasped such a shocking flame divine ability. Only a deity-level cultivation technique can have such a terrifying flame divine ability when in the state of the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. Just how many shocking divine abilities does this kid have? Divine Cauldron Holy Venerable was shocked and wanted to change his mind. He no longer wanted to kill Su Fong, but wanted to capture him alive and search his soul. Not only would he obtain his purple cloud Dharma spirit, but he also wanted to steal all of his secrets. Who knew? Then, Divine Cauldron Holy Venerable was shocked to find that the purple flames released by the fusion of his supreme divine ability and the deity-level artifact cauldron were devoured by Su Fong's blood sea of Nether and then merged with the white flames, causing his power to diminish continuously. Chi! Although the surface area of Su Fong's blood did not increase, the roaring flames within the blood became even more ferocious. The flames burned up to a height of 100 zhong, bursting out with a monstrous momentum. It was an incomparably shocking sight. A figure of Su Fong condensed in the blood water. He urged the 9 changes of the 9 suns, guiding the power of the merged purple flames into the Yang Meridian to attack the 47th Yang Meridian. Divine Cauldron Holy Venerable was stunned. Divine Cauldron Holy Venerable, your deity-level artifact cauldron does not seem powerful enough. Come on harder. The figure of Su Fong in the blood water laughed loudly, his laughter full of mockery. Let's see how long you can be smug. Divine Cauldron's origin fire. Divine Cauldron, holy venerable, gritted his teeth, forming a series of mysterious and complex hand seals. Then he separated his hands, and a ball of deep purple flames surged out from between his palms, enveloping Su Fong and burning wildly. This deep purple flame was not only 10 times more powerful than the purple flames, it also contained divinity. It was a ball of divine fire. Divine Cauldron, holy venerable said, "This ball of divine fire is the origin fire of my deity-level artifact cauldron. Although it is not much, it is more powerful than any flame in the world. Normally, I wouldn't use it easily. But now, in order to suppress you, I've activated it. Su Fong, to be refined by my divine flame, is also your supreme honor." The origin fire of a deity-level artifact? Su Fong sensed that the power of fire around him had suddenly become 10 times more violent. His reincarnation power and the power of the world of yin and yang were incinerated and melted by the power of the divine fire. Even Yellow Spring Blood Sea was rapidly evaporating. Looks like I have to use the origin sacred mirror. In order to not attract the attention of experts, Su Fong had not used the marriage sacred mirror since he came to the central immortal domain. Now, he could not care less. Who knew that, at this moment, there was a sudden movement in the heaven and earth Dao Palace? It was not the Yang Meridian or the World Tree, but the extinguishing soil that Su Fong had placed at the root of the World Tree. Then, a thought appeared in Su Fong's mind. It was an arrogant and violent voice. The aura of the heavenly fire. Heavenly fire deity, I will fight you to the death. Su Fong Dao was shocked. This thought was the one that Su Fong's consciousness had sensed from the extinguishing soil when he had obtained it. The demon monkey. This peerless demon monkey had been refined by the heavenly fire deity with a divine weapon. Before his death, he had self-destructed and destroyed the divine weapon, leaving behind a thought in the extinguishing soil. Su Fong had thought that it was just a remnant thought that would dissipate automatically after releasing the image of the thought. He did not expect it to remain in the extinguishing soil. Even Su Fong did not notice it. What Su Fong did not know was that the demon monkey's thought was not an ordinary thought, but an obsession. As long as the heavenly fire deity was alive, the obsession would not disappear. Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron, was a fragment of the cauldron that had been destroyed by the demon monkey's self-destruction. It had been repaired by Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron. Although its power was less than 1/10 of its original power, the origin source flame still contained the aura of the heavenly fire deity. After being activated by Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron, it was immediately sensed by the demon monkey's thought. The next moment, boom, an illusory image of a thought came out of Su Fong's body. It carried a violent, unruly, and extremely violent aura and dispersed the surrounding purple origin source flame. What is that? The demon monkey. It's actually a demon monkey that has been refined by a divine artifact. Why does the demon monkeys will exist in Su Fong's body? Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron, was dumbfounded. There was a rumbling sound in his head, like a sudden clap of thunder. Kill! The illusory image of the demon monkeys will soared into the sky. It carried a terrifying aura that seemed to say that if the heavens wanted to destroy it, it would destroy the heavens. With a boom, it struck Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron's body and burrowed into his body. At this moment, Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron had fused with a Divine Cauldron. He was a Divine Cauldron and was naturally targeted by the demon monkey's will. Although Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron's strength was heaven-defying, the demon monkey was invincible in the myriad worlds and had killed countless gods. Although it was just a thought, it was not something that Divine Cauldron, holy man Divine Cauldron could withstand. The demon monkeys will rushed into his body in an unstoppable manner, and the monstrous killing intent and evil energy attacked his divine aperture ocean, young immortal, and primordial spirit consciousness. Not only that, The demon monkeys had also entered the inner world of the weapon cauldron and destroyed all the formations and divine runes inside the weapon cauldron, causing the inner world to completely collapse. A divine-grade weapon cauldron was destroyed to the point that it couldn't be destroyed anymore. The Divine Cauldron Holy Man created the Divine Cauldron world with the help of the Divine Cauldron Holy Man also collapsed. The original fire of the Divine Cauldron that enveloped the Su Fong became an ownerless object. However, it seemed to have a mind of its own. It rolled around and condensed into a fist-sized ball. With a whoosh, it was about to escape. Divine Artifact's origin flame. You are mine, Su Fong's. Su Fong's eyes flickered. Then, without hesitation, he activated the Origin Divine Mirror, shooting out a crimson light that enveloped the Divine Artifact's origin flame and sucked it into the Divine Artifact space. Su Fong was overjoyed and looked up at Divine Cauldron Holy Man. After being attacked by the demon monkey's will, his young immortal was severely injured. His face was as pale as paper and his body trembled. He could barely fly. I'll kill you while you're injured. If he didn't act now, when would he? Su Fong's eyes flashed with viciousness. He took out the immortal slaying bow and released the dragon bird and ghost. Screech! 2 rays of golden light shot out of the dragon bird's eyes. They intertwined and formed a dazzling sun god arrow. The sun god arrow carried the shocking power of the sun god and shot into Divine Cauldron Holy Man's chest. With a boom, Divine Cauldron Holy Man's body suddenly emitted a dazzling light, as if there was a divine sun in his body. Su Fong, how dare you? Divine Cauldron Holy Man was indeed a peerless master of the high-level Tao realm. While his young immortal was heavily injured, he activated his divine ability and turned his body into a weapon cauldron to continuously wear down and refine the power of the sun god arrow. Swoosh! Su Fong activated the immortal slaying bow, and a murderous aura shot up into the sky. An arrow that looked like the shadow of a dragon shot out. It tore through the void and shot towards Divine Cauldron Holy Man. The immortal slaying bow was one of the 10 great Tao artifacts. Although it had been repaired and its power was not as strong as before, Su Fong had fully activated its power now. And because Su Fong had the dragon-subduing true body, its power had increased. Divine Cauldron Holy Man's young immortal was heavily injured, and his body was busy dealing with the sun god arrow. He could not divert his attention to use his divine ability to defend himself. He barely managed to dodge the arrow, but was still shot in the right shoulder. Puff! The arrow formed by the dragon's shadow pierced through Divine Cauldron Holy Man's shoulder. Blood spurted out, and a sharp, murderous aura seeped into his body. It destroyed his body and attacked his young immortal again. The truly fatal attack came one after another. Gue flew out like a ghost and spat out a poisonous black flame that landed on Divine Cauldron Holy Man's body. It sizzled and corroded his body. His skin fell off layer by layer and turned into black water. Then it was his flesh and bones. Divine Cauldron Holy Venerable cried out in despair. Stop, Su Fong. I'm willing to submit to you. I'm a high-level Tao realm expert and also the great elder of the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect. With a slave like me, your strength will definitely skyrocket and no one in the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect will dare to harm you. Equals _ our download address. Mobile reading. Bibliography. Chapter 1590. The high and mighty great elder of the heavenly fate Hao Tsang sect, a peerless powerhouse at the high level of the Tao realm, actually submitted to me, the sane immortal realm cultivator, and wanted to become my slave? Su Fong mocked. AP, a peerless powerhouse like you who wants to plunder my purple aura Dharma spirit wholeheartedly. How can you sincerely submit to me? After you escape my suppression, the first thing you have to do is to betray me and kill me. How can I, Su Fong, do such a stupid thing? Su Fong smiled coldly and said to Gue in a voice filled with killing intent. Kill him equals and _R. Gue roared excitedly. Her body shattered and turned into a sea of blood. With a splash, it swept out and wrapped around Tao Venerable Divine Furnace's body, corroding and devouring it. Tao Venerable Divine Furnace struggled and roared in the blood water. He tried to escape with his divine might, causing a monstrous wave of blood to surge in all directions. Although the yellow spring blood sea that Gue had transformed into was far inferior to Su Fong in terms of area and devouring ability, it contained astonishing poison. Moreover, after devouring the fire poison in the extinguishing earth, its toxicity became incomparably terrifying. It even had the ability to incinerate. Tao Venerable Divine Furnace was severely injured one after another. At this moment, he was already at the end of his strength. No matter how he struggled, he couldn't escape the fate of being devoured by the sea of blood. Gradually, Tao Venerable Divine Furnace's voice disappeared. His corpse floated in the blood water, and even his aura disappeared. Tao Venerable Divine Furnace had fallen. Just like that, Venerable Xianlin set up an inescapable net in the Sunluo Desolate Abyss, preparing to suppress Su Fong. In the end, Heavenly Lord Xianshu, the Lord of Thunder Night Island, and Tao Venerable Divine Furnace, who wanted to be the aureole behind, all died. As for Venerable Xianlin, he was shackled in the sky-shrouding nether coffin by Su Fong. His fate was completely controlled by Su Fong. Whoosh! The moment Tao Venerable Divine Furnace died, the demonic monkeys will phantom flew out of his corpse and entered Su Fong's body. It entered the heaven and earth Tao Palace and hid in the extinguishing earth again. Su Fong was shocked. He sent a young immortal into the heaven and earth Tao Palace to sense the extinguishing soil, but he couldn't find the demon monkey. This demon monkey had been refined by the divine tool for countless years. In the end, when it was about to die, it perished together with the divine tool. This will had long been integrated with the extinguishing earth. With Su Fong's current cultivation, it was difficult for him to detect its existence. Fortunately, this thought was just an obsession before death, so it wouldn't cause any trouble to Su Fong, so Su Fong didn't pay any attention to it. Furthermore, Su Fong admired this unyielding and unruly monkey demon very much. As long as it did not threaten him, Su Fong would not kill it. Only then did Gege stop devouring. The blood shrank back into its physical form. The cultivation of divine cauldron holy man, as well as the astonishing life essence in his physical body, was difficult for Gue to digest completely with her current strength. Divine cauldron holy man's body, which had been badly corroded, was kept by Su Fong in the Jinlong realm. Whoosh! Su Fong kept Gue and the dragon bird into his body. Then, without stopping for a moment, he quickly left the bottom of the Sunluo Desolate Abyss. He went against the terrifying abyss airflow and shackles and advanced upwards. When he was about to reach the top, Su Fong released the Wooling Goblin and entered the Wooling Goblin's body. As for the Wooling Goblin, it transformed into a stone belt and quickly climbed up the mountain wall, arriving at the mountain range at the top of the abyss. Due to the strange fragrance that Venerable Xianlin ignited that caused the wild beasts to go crazy, the disciples of the Tianming Haotsong sect who were training in the abyss either died or fled. Then, there was the battle between the Lord of Thunder Night Island, Venerable Xianlin, and Divine Cauldron Holy Man, which caused a world-shaking commotion. The cultivators of the Tianming Haotsong sect guarding the mountain range and the disciples who were training had long fled far away. No one noticed the Wooling Goblin at all. The Wooling Goblin used its earth element ability and moved all the way through the ground and rocks until it was thousands of miles away from the Sunluo Desolate Abyss. When there was no one around, Su Fong came out of the Wooling Goblin's body and rode his flying sword to quickly leave the immortal world where the Sunluo Desolate Abyss was located. About 10 years later, a figure appeared in the sky above the main peak of Silent Great Star. It was Su Fong who had returned from the Sunluo Desolate Abyss. After leaving the Sunluo Desolate Abyss, Su Fong traveled through several immortal realms and then returned to the Tianming Haotsong sect through a spatial array formation. Originally, it didn't take so long. However, on the way, Su Fong encountered several attacks from resurrected powerhouses. Some of the spatial array formations of the immortal realms were even destroyed by the resurrected powerhouses, causing Su Fong to have no choice but to take a detour. This was why he was delayed for such a long time. The encounters along the way made Su Fong's mood very heavy. In the past, the central immortal realm, where the Tianming Haotsong sect was located, was also greatly affected by the 4 consecutive changes of the world. There were also many resurrected cultivators, big goblin, demons, and some peerless great demons that had broken through the seal. However, they were quickly suppressed by the powerhouses sent by the Tianming Haotsong sect. This time, there was actually a matter of resurrected powerhouses attacking the spatial array formation of the Tianming Haotsong sect. It was obvious that even with the huge power of the Tianming Haotsong sect, it was difficult to control the situation in the central immortal realm. The situation in the other mortal realms could be imagined. Moreover, there was also the demon race that had been restless all this time. A great battle was definitely brewing. The following situation was worrying. After returning to the Jihong dojo, Su Fong immediately entered the cave abode. In a room deep in the cave abode, the Jihong immortal venerable suddenly opened his eyes. Shock flashed in his eyes. Su Fong has left the Jihong dojo for more than 10 years. Today he has returned with such a strong, murderous aura. Only by killing a peerless powerhouse whose cultivation realm is far higher than his would such a terrifying, murderous aura be left behind. Moreover, this karmic aura, it's the divine cauldron holy venerable. He actually killed the divine cauldron holy venerable. Therefore, he is tainted with the karmic fate of the divine cauldron. The Jihong immortal venerable pinched his fingers and used his supreme divine ability to deduce that Su Fong's body was tainted with the karmic fate of the divine cauldron holy venerable. One could imagine the shock in his heart. The Jihong immortal venerable knew that Su Fong had hidden a lot of strength, but he never expected that he could actually kill a high-level Dao realm peerless powerhouse like the divine cauldron holy venerable with his cultivation base at the 9th Dao realm of the same immortal realm. I still underestimated this disciple of mine. The calamity is about to affect the Tianming Haotsong sect. There's not much time left for him to grow. I have to protect him at all costs. Determination flashed in the Jihong immortal venerable's eyes. True Dragon Realm. Su Fong carefully counted his gains this time. He was so happy that his mouth couldn't close for a long time. Immortal venerable Xianlin ignored him for the time being. Just the golden core of the Lord of Thunder Night Island and the body of the divine cauldron holy venerable were incomparably shocking gains. Su Fong could use this to break through to the peak of the Saint Immortal Realm in one go and step into the Dao Realm, becoming a peerless immortal venerable. There was also the source flame of a god-level artifact cauldron. Su Fong was confident that he could give birth to a young meridian. Not to mention, a peerless powerhouse like the divine cauldron holy venerable had countless Dao artifacts, medicinal pills, spiritual items, and various resources in his storage ring. In addition, immortal venerable Xianlin was the sect leader of a Daoist field of the Tianming Haotsong sect, after all. The resources on him were also very shocking. Unfortunately, other than the golden core, the Lord of Thunder Night Island's physical body and everything else on him had been completely incinerated. Not even a strand of hair was left behind. Previously, Su Fong had been in seclusion for 300 years, and the various resources he had collected were almost exhausted. One had to know that there were more than 300,000 elite subordinates in the True Dragon Realm. In addition to the consumption of Bai Ling, Zhu Huang, and other powerful big goblin, even if there was a huge amount of resources, there would be a time when they would be exhausted. The harvest this time was undoubtedly a timely help. It solved a big problem for Su Fong. More importantly, Su Fong received news of the Luo clan from immortal venerable Xianlin, allowing him to be mentally prepared. Immortal venerable Xianlin cultivates the great Dao of array formations, and his cultivation realm is extremely high. It's a pity to kill him. Moreover, he's still in contact with the Luo clan. It's better to subdue him. He could be of great use in the future. However, although I've shackled him now, he definitely won't submit to me willingly. I have to intimidate him so that he won't dare to betray me again. After Su Fong calmed down, he decided to deal with immortal venerable Xianlin first. He first transformed into the Yellow Springs Blood Sea state and condensed his main body from the blood water. He said in a majestic voice, "Dead Lord, bring immortal venerable Xianlin over." Who, the dead lord, brought the shackled immortal venerable Xianlin out of the array formation at the side and arrived above the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. "Master, when you devour this person, can you share some of his life aura with me?" The dead lord revealed an evil smile and said gloomily. Immortal venerable Xianlin was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly shouted, "Su Fong, I've already been sealed and shackled by you. Moreover, I've told you everything I know. You once promised to spare my life. Are you going back on your word?" Su Fong said domineeringly, "I, Su Fong, have always kept my promises. Since I promised to spare your life, I definitely won't kill you. However, you know my secret. If I let you go, wouldn't my secret be exposed? I'll give you two choices. Either submit to me, or I will shackle you in a Tao artifact for the rest of your life." This immortal venerable Xianlin hesitated for a moment. Clearly, the two choices Su Fong gave him were not what he wanted. Su Fong naturally knew what he was thinking. After smiling faintly, with a thought, the golden core of the Lord of Thunder Night Island and the corpse of Tao Venerable Divine Furnace appeared above the blood water and were swept into the Yellow Springs Blood Sea by a wave of blood. "That's Tao Venerable Divine Furnace. You actually killed him?" Immortal Venerable Xianlin cried out in shock, his face filled with disbelief. "Not only Tao Venerable Divine Furnace, but also the Lord of Thunder Night Island. They have all been killed by me. Xianlin, you're only at the middle stage of the Tao realm. In my eyes, you're like an ant. Don't tell me that you have been wronged to submit to me. You probably still have some fantasies about that deity from the myriad worlds, right? I advise you to dispel these unrealistic fantasies. I, Su Fong, am able to kill a high-level Tao realm powerhouse with my cultivation base at the Saint Immortal realm. Moreover, it took me less than 3,000 years to reach this height. Give me another 10,000 years, and even if it's a deity from the myriad worlds, I can still suppress him." Su Fong revealed a towering, domineering aura as he activated the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. With a roar, it emitted a shocking, devouring power. The corpse of Tao Venerable Divine Furnace and the golden core of the Lord of Thunder Night Island were quickly corroded by the blood water layer by layer. The flames of life burned in the blood water, turning into a terrifying sea of flames. Tao Venerable Divine Furnace's physical body, cultivation technique, true qi, everything was domineeringly devoured and plundered by Su Fong from this moment onwards, becoming nutrients for him to increase his strength. Su Fong, "No, Master, I am willing to submit to you. I will never be disloyal to you in the future." Immortal Venerable Xianlin no longer hesitated. He trembled as he lay down and kowtowed to Su Fong. == Our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography.